Blog Talk Radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, now no doubt. Oh yeah. It's a family thing. I guess you know. Oh yeah. It's a family thing. I guess you know. Oh yeah. It's a family thing. I guess you know. Oh yeah. It's a family thing. Oh yeah. And just I guess right now we can start the show. Are you ready?
Your attention, please.
Attention all personnel. Please relax and prepare for takeoff.
There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table to figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. By the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Yeah. You know? And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.
So I definitely said no F-bombs. But George Carlin can say some F-bombs to open up the show. That's cool. No F-bombs when the guest is on tonight. Not that he cares, but it is Joseph Farrell stuff.
Sure.
You know.
I can restrain.
One of my all-time favorite authors, so I don't want to. This is his first time on the show. So, yeah, you know, I'd like it to go over well.
Yeah, you want him to come back.
You should get him back because there's a lot of stuff I want to talk to him about. Well, this is definitely someone that, like, for years I've always been like, oh, man, even before the radio show started, I'm like, oh, I wish I could just, like, sit down and talk with this guy and pick his brain for, like, a few hours and shit. Like, oh, he's on the show. Awesome.
That's right. Now you get your chance. It's awesome.
Yes, obviously I've read some of his books. Actually, there's 3 books. Well, it's like a series of 4, but we're going to cover 2 of them. He'll get into all of that anyway. But what we're talking about, I mean, because a lot of the books that he has, it talks about a lot of the same, not necessarily the same stuff, but obviously when you're getting into these things, they all the dots connect. You know what I mean? Like it's
sure.
You know, so I mean, you're going to have some stuff in the books that are, you know, maybe like you read in the other book, but it's, but not everybody, you know, I mean, unless you're like a really big fan or whatever, and you're reading like all his books or whatever. But either way, I don't think if you're a Farrell fan, then it probably doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, you know, because, you know, I was just trying to explain that. You know, and there's a lot of information that might be in one book that's in another book or whatever. But you know, they can be different subjects. Like I said, you just connect the dots. You know, it's all related. So it's, I guess, something you have to do as an author. You have to put that in there because you can't. You know, like people might be like, oh, what's he talking about or whatever. You know, you can't be like, oh, refer to this book. To, you know.
Sure.
But yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Serious. I got my surround sound on, and my Facebook is blowing up. I don't know if you could hear it going through the speakers. It was pretty loud.
Oh no, I didn't hear it. No, didn't hear it. So that's good.
Andrew sending me a smart-ass message.
Leave it to Andrew.
This show sucks without D-Rack.
Oh, Andrew, you ass.
Obviously, he's sarcastic, but no, man. The show is nothing without D-Rack. It's nothing.
That's right. Obviously.
Yeah, I feel a little bit better this week than last week. Last week I was just like, bleh, to be honest.
Yeah. In a little bit of a funk, huh?
Yeah, just the whole week I was just like, bleh. And I was high all week. You know, I smoked a lot of pot, so. That probably added to it. I actually usually make it a point to not smoke on days that I do the show, but I hadn't been smoking forever. So I was getting wicked stoned, man. So stoned. And I mean, I wasn't smoking a lot, but I mean, I just like, it didn't take much to like get me high. Because like I said, I only smoked like once in a month, like once in that and then 30 days, which is pretty crazy. But so yeah, I started smoking again. And I was just getting wicked high and just like
getting pretty lit.
I had all this shit I wanted to do, and it's like, and that's it. You know, like I was just talking to someone today about different kinds of weed, and you know, because people are like, oh, I can't smoke it because it makes me lazy or makes me paranoid or you know, like all these excuses. I guess I won't say excuses, but just reasons why they don't smoke it, but. It's
sure.
It's as you know, you and I know that there's many different kinds of weed. You just have to find the weed that fits you. You know what I mean? Like you got your sativas and indicas, and you smoke a sativa, especially like a pure sativa, or mostly pure anyway. You're not gonna feel all lazy. You're gonna be like,
right.
you get like that big head buzz and kind of motivates you. And I know, like, when it's like you telling you, I'm like, dude, I got to get some sativa. Because, and I did. The thing was, I didn't know it was, I'm assuming that what I had was sativa. I had 2 different kinds. And so I told you I had some purple bud. And it's obviously a sativa because I did smoke it, and I didn't get tired, and I felt like doing shit. But I didn't pick that up until a couple days after I got it. And so I was smoking the other stuff during the day. This shit just knocks you on your ass, dude. I smoked a bowl, man, and I was just on my bed just like, bleh. I'm like watching.
Just don't want to do anything,
I was catching up on some shows on TV and shit, and shit, but I don't even remember half of them. I mean, dude, I was all fucked up. So when I figured it out, the next day I smoked the other stuff in the morning. I had been waking bacon. I haven't been doing that for a while. So like, fuck it, dude. It's like, whatever, man. I haven't smoked for a while, so
sure, let's
get it done. But yeah, I was. So I smoked the other stuff and didn't have that issue. But I was like, oh, it's a nice uplifting high, just like, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get some stuff done, and then, like, I'm doing that. And I wasn't paying attention. And I had another bowl, and I grabbed the wrong because I had it all up on my little tray. And
sure.
I got these I got it all broken up to, like, little buds, because maybe it's my OCD or something like that, but each little bud is like how much, like I smoke for each bowl. And it may sound lame to some people. People might be like, well, what the fuck? But no, I'm just trying to be conservative with it. And,
sure.
So anyway, and I know what it takes. It's good weed, so it doesn't take, I don't have to even smoke a whole joint of it. I just smoke a small little bowl, and it's like I'm fried. And,
right.
But yeah, so I grabbed a bud, put it in a bowl, and I was doing something, and I started smoking it, dude, and I fucking, yeah, dude, so whole day wasted. I was just like, ugh, I had some shit I had to do, and I actually did do it, but I was just like, oh, man, and then they were like, oh, dude, I'm still in my pajamas, I don't even want to go outside, and I had to go outside. I don't want to go outside, I don't want, so.
Just dragging.
And it does, whatever. But like I was saying, it depends. If you're someone that does like to smoke pot, but you think that, or if it makes you paranoid or it makes you lazy, there are, different types you can smoke. You don't even have to smoke it. There's other ways to take it. You can
right. For sure.
Eat some Joey Diaz edibles. Those are always good.
Make it into a butter. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah. Speaking of, I didn't get to watch it all. Anyone listening should check it out. It's pretty funny. I'm sure I didn't get to see the whole thing. Yeah, have you ever seen the Doug Benson podcast there, Getting Doug with High?
I think I have.
Getting Doug with High.
Yes, I have seen it.
They smoked pot the whole time. I mean, he had Joey on. I mean, they had Joey Diaz on, and they took like 100 bong rips or something like that. Or like 80-something bong rips or something like that. I think it was a bong or something like that. But yeah, they had a live. Well, it's always live, but they had a show. Instead of just having one guest on, they were up on a stage. It was like a comedy thing. They did the live show from there, and they were fucking. And they had Joey Diaz on. It's kind of funny because they have those. They were doing like the vaporizer, but they got it blows the smoke. It's like a big, it's not a balloon. It's like a big clear plastic bag.
Yeah.
And it blows it into there, and it keeps it in there. You know what I mean? So you don't have to keep using the vaporizer.
I've seen those.
Right. So they were passing that around. Well, there was 5 of them. There was Doug, and then he had the other four guys. So there was 5 of them, and Joey was at the end. And it was kind of funny because you could see like halfway through it, like it looked like it was getting empty and shit. And I think it was Brendan Walsh. I want to say it was Brendan Walsh, comedian. I want to say it was him, but anyway, he was taking huge fucking hits, dude. By the time, every time it got to Joey, the thing was like pretty much fucking empty. But he was like, you know, he's like, I don't care, man. You know, I'm just like, he's like, I smoked the whole way over here anyway, and I'm already high as shit. Yeah.
He'd be a lot of fun to sit around a circle with.
Yeah,
Joey.
Definitely, dude.
Oh, man.
Yeah, sure, dude. I can't wait. I know we've been talking about getting him on the show for so long, and just like it hasn't worked out. He'll be on the show. I still talk to him
eventually.
here and there. He gets back to me and shit. He's not an asshole. He definitely gets back to me, and then we chat a little bit here and there. But
right.
He's a busy dude.
He's busy.
Like I said, that's one busy dude. So.
Right.
You know, he doesn't know much. He doesn't know anything really about our show or anything. So it's not like he's gonna, you know what I mean? Like, make it a priority. And I don't expect him to. It's more of a thing where it's like, you know, when you get the time, whatever, you know, come on,
Exactly.
We'll do it. Have a good time. Get all baked. I will have to make sure I have some sativa for that show. Because, I think it's pretty clear if I smoke indica, I'm pretty much worthless the whole day. I'm antisocial, and I'm just like, I'd rather listen to people. I'd rather think than listen to people. That's my thing. Even
sure.
like, you know, like last week during the show, or one of the shows, like I was just sitting there, dude, smoking and like listening to you guys and shit. Obviously Friday night was a little different. I had some shit to do Friday night, as you know. That was a little different. Right. But other than like when we had Cantwell on Friday, well, we were just sitting back listening to Jeff and Cantwell go back and forth, which was pretty entertaining.
That was, absolutely.
Farrell and Jeff.
Yeah, that was fun. Speaking of, where is Jeff?
Oh, he's on the other end. I just haven't connected him yet.
Gotcha.
New format to the show. New format to the show.
Oh, that's right.
I should say a format to the show. No more winging it anymore. No more winging it. Not that we always wing it. I'm just saying that because, like, I'm not even speaking for you guys. I'm speaking really. I mean, yeah, I want you guys to do it too, but I'm saying it because of me. Just because, like, I slacked last week. I really did, man. I was worthless. And good thing I got a couple of co-hosts that will talk and shit. Because I was just like, meh. I mean, obviously, if I had to, I would talk. But just like I said, man.
Right.
Yeah, and I like to, you know. I like to listen and think about it, you know what I mean? And if I want to chime in, I'll chime in. But not only that, like, it's like...
You are right there. You have two co-hosts that enjoy talking, so... Yeah. You never really have a problem with that.
It's all right. I don't mind. It's kind of cool to be able to take a little break. I'll be honest, man. I just wasn't feeling it last week, and I think it was just because I was smoking pot all week, so I wasn't feeling it. Which I did say that because many times I've done that on shows, and I don't know. Just I usually have like I almost think that, well, yeah, it's usually when it's getting close to the full moon, I get in this like weird, funky stage. I don't even know how to. Yeah. I don't know, man. Just it's leading up to the full moon, and it always happens every month. It really does. I picked this up in the last few months.
Oh, I totally understand that.
And then once we get to the full moon, and then when we start, it's usually from the full moon, and then maybe like just recently, like last night, like unless I get wicked stoned before bed, but even like last night, man, I smoked my last bowl. I fell asleep at 11 o'clock and woke up at 12. And I was like, all right, I can get back to bed. Yeah, okay. No, I was wide awake, and I'm like, fuck, dude, I have no weed. I don't even have any, like, Christ, if I wanted to take some NyQuil or something, I couldn't even have that.
Right.
Like, nothing to do. And then, so I'm like, oh, shit, all right. So I ended up getting up, and it was from like 12 to 2, I was like, I listened to some old Coast to Coast. Not even old, actually. I listened to Joseph Farrell's, he was on Coast to Coast Sunday night, so I started listening to that. And then I listened to last night's Coast to Coast live one, because it was about ETs and UFOs and shit. So I'm like, all right, well, they're talking about something good, so I'll listen to it. And so I was like, all right,
enough all night.
Yeah, well, I wanted to hear the Farrell interview on Coast to Coast. So I was like, all right, well, I remembered where I had stopped, so I'm like, okay, I'll go back to YouTube, because Coast to Coast has the YouTube page, and they put the shows on there. And so I go back earlier today because I wanted to listen to it, because I haven't read the Covert Wars and Breakaway Civilizations book of Mr. Farrell's yet. And so I just wanted to get some sort of insight on it, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Even though, I have a good idea about it anyway, but we just, I'd rather read the book, but whatever. I wanted to just hear what he had to say on, on Coast to Coast. And so yeah, I went back today on YouTube and went there. Well, apparently both Coast to Coast pages, they took all the rebroadcast, the videos off. Not obviously the videos, but the recordings of each show. They're not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So what the fuck? And I'm like, is this just me? So I had my friend check it out, and same thing for him. They're all gone. All the videos were wiped off from both Coast to Coast pages today. So that's kind of weird. I don't know what's going on with that, but...
Yeah, that's odd. That sucks.
Yeah. I don't know. But, yeah. I'm not coughing because I'm getting high.
I believe you. So what else has been happening? No more Monday shows. Doing Wednesdays and Fridays now.
Just a second. Yeah, so anyway. Sorry, I was just typing. Like I said, anybody listen to the show, man, I'm a multitasker, but I'm not a multitasker by listening and talking and doing something else. So I just can't do it. My brain can't handle it. My brain can handle a lot, but for some reason it cannot handle that right there. So, I don't know, man. That's the way it goes.
Yeah. No big deal. So, yeah, like I was saying, so no more Monday shows. Doing Wednesdays and Fridays.
No more Monday shows until you and I are set up properly.
Mm-hmm.
In the same room and able to work together and get everything straightened out, face to face. No, over the phone or over Facebook. It's too hard for me. It really is, and I get way too stressed out with it, and that's why I wanted to talk tonight about three of us talking about format and getting a different format going and everything, because we do have nights where we just wing it, which, sometimes works out, actually. Sometimes just winging it actually does work out. Yeah, yes, people, we do wing it sometimes. We do go into the show not having a fucking clue what we're going to do. It does happen. But, I don't know. We're not going to be the type of show that's going to sit there for like 8 hours and go over things and shit like that. No, that's not going to happen. Because we're trying not to interview people. Like I've been telling guests, we're not trying to interview people. I mean, we're kind of, but not really. We're just looking for a discussion, just an actual discussion. No need to, just the interview thing. Ever since I interviewed Lee Camp, me and you interviewed Lee Camp. It's just like shit, dude. That's it. No more interviewing people. Just I don't know. Just. Nothing against Lee Camp, great guy, all this shit. I don't know, man. We went for the interview approach, and I bombed it. I don't even say anything about you, but I have no problem saying that I totally bombed it. So I mean, that's how I feel anyway. Maybe I didn't, but I'm very, you know me, I'm very critical of myself. So.
Right. Yes, you are.
And if it's not perfect to me, I get very disappointed. So. You just sent me a message saying half hour up. Are you retarded? Oh, retarded. I was just kidding.
No, not with that again. No, not with that again. Our conversation before. Yeah, see, and this is exactly what I said, too.
Uh-oh, retard alert. Retard alert, class. Do you believe in a flying spaghetti monster, too, bubblehead?
I wasn't talking about spaghetti.
Come on, you. You're going to have to sit in the dunce chair.
I love that clip. That's funny.
It's okay, man. We can say that stuff here. Yeah, if you get offended listening to the show, it's probably not a show for you. Not that we want to lose you or anything, but, I mean, if you can stick through it, I mean, you don't mean any harm by... I know some people get offended over the word retard or retarded or whatever, but I don't know. You know, like it just kept dropping the retard stuff, but he was making a point. It was like it wasn't a big deal. Obviously, we mess around on the show a lot with each other, so
right.
We had to give him shit for that. But yeah,
it's we did.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's like, what was it? Because, I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, and he's always saying, oh, that's retarded and shit. So he's used to saying it. I mean, like we are. You know, we don't say anything bad about it. But so there was a few UFC events ago, I don't know, I want to say maybe last month, in February, maybe, January, February. He was interviewing one of the fighters at the end, and he had made a comment. He said something, and I don't know, someone corrected him. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, I'm retarded," or something like that. So all these people gave him all this grief over saying that, which I find is fucking bullshit. Anyway, you know what I mean? Like, I like to think people that have listened to our show at this point kind of know. You know, don't get offended. I mean, you know, getting offended is bullshit. You know, that's an Adam Kokesh's quote, right?
Mhm.
Sure, a lot of people have said that, but I'd say Adam probably made the "getting offended is bullshit" quote famous. So.
Oh, it's so true, though.
No, it is.
You know.
It is. It's just like, we wanted to talk about something today. We had something go on. Well, I don't know, was it yesterday that shit went down in Norwalk?
Oh yeah.
So I have the little story I'll tell at the end here where that girl was arguing with me today.
Oh, unreal, though.
I don't have the, hold on, I do have it right here. Well, yeah, it made national news. Norwalk, Maine. Ended up making national news. I was like, oh, well, because Ben Swan covered it after the Morning Sentinel here in Maine, obviously covered it because they were the ones there.
Right.
Got it here somewhere.
You have it. I have it right here. Michael Smith was the guy's name.
Yeah. Well, okay. So Michael Smith is my cousin. I guess I won't name any names. He's probably listening. It's anyway. It's his cousin. It's my cousin's cousin. I think it's his first cousin, maybe first or second cousin. I don't know what it is. It might be his first cousin.
Sure.
Not related to me, obviously. Through marriage and shit, he's some sort of relation. But yeah, anyway, so this guy is like, obviously lives in Norwalk, and I'm trying to get the article up myself. See, I guess I didn't. I thought I put it on bookmark. All I have to do is, actually, might as well just go to my page, huh?
There you go.
Seeing that bitch shit. Oh, come on. I know. Oh, right here. Okay. I got the Ben Swan article. And yeah, I was reading the Morning Sentinel here from Maine. Obviously, I read that. Well, I showed you the picture last night. Wasn't it last night I showed you the picture? Yeah.
Yeah, and I just didn't even put it together.
Article. There was no article written on it by then, I don't think. That was this morning, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, last night I found the picture, but there was no story to it. So I was like, okay, well, hey, that's Somerset Sheriff's Department. So I was like, all right, whatever. Wake up in the morning, I see that you posted something about it. So yeah, anyway, Norwalk, Maine, which is, I've lived in Norwalk before. It's pretty close to where me and Mark live. Actually, from where I'm from, it's the next town over. Actually, it's pretty close to you, too.
Yeah, it's not too far.
A Maine man was met with the state police armed with assault rifles Tuesday morning after tree workers, which is Lucas Tree Experts, whom I used to work for. And I don't like to say that, but hey, I'll say it, whatever. But anyway, it mistook a man's gun tattoo for an actual weapon. Michael Smith, the man who was confronted by the troopers, had been sleeping when he was awoken by sounds of workers trimming tree limbs around power lines on his property. Smith works at night and was aggravated by the noise, which probably would have been pretty pissed off too if I heard it closely. When I was working nights at Sunday River, that shit pissed me off. Someone made some noise, heard some noise when they wake up. It's different. It's different when you're sleeping during the day. It really is different. But anyway, so Smith works at night, was aggravated by the noise, so he yelled at the crew to get off his property. The workers, who admitted they were in Smith's driveway. So apparently they pulled up in his driveway. Bullshit.
Right.
I'm saying bullshit because they shouldn't have pulled up in his driveway. I worked for them, and we never pulled up in anyone's driveway. Maybe to turn around or something. I don't know if they. By what I've been reading, they kind of parked in his driveway.
That's the way that I understood it.
Yeah.
They parked in his driveway and was, doing the tree work, but kind of like out of his driveway.
And they obliged. I mean, there was no issues.
Right.
So there was no issue really, but apparently someone in the crew decided, well, maybe
sissy.
You can't see or whatever because I don't give a fuck how far away you are. I'm looking at the tattoo right now, dude. There's no fucking way. I could see that from 100 yards away and know that was not a gun. So whoever reported that is an idiot. I wish I knew who it was. I could probably find out, but let's find out. Let's go rolling, Mark.
It's so ridiculous on so many different levels.
Yeah.
Like,
definitely. So.
Like Don had said, even if it was a real gun, I'm sorry, he's on his own property.
His fucking property. So if he wants to walk out and he's got a gun, it's not even concealed, but either way, it's on his own property. But
that's right.
So he's got a gun that's sticking 3/4 of the way out. So that's who cares? Whatever, man. What is it? Anyway, so yes, like one of the workers noticed a tattoo of a gun on Smith, who was shirtless at the time of the disturbance, obviously, because he just fucking woke up. Right. The worker mistook a tattoo for the real thing and called the police. Well, I personally think that they didn't. This is what I'm thinking, that someone just called it in, because I've worked for them. I know the crews. I know they like to fuck around a lot and shit. And I feel like someone called it in just trying to be an asshole. And actually knew that it wasn't, but tried to cause a scene. That's how I feel. I'm just speculating and shit, whatever, but that's how I feel.
Sure.
So a group of state troopers then arrived at Smith's home armed with assault rifles and ordered him to come out of his house by megaphone. So it's like treating it like it's a standoff and shit. Like the dude's got a gun tattooed on his stomach, and 3/4 of it is showing. And I'm looking at it right now, and I don't even think it goes all the way down. It looks like it kind of stops. Like he didn't get it all the way down, you know what I mean? And it just kind of stops.
Yeah.
Not that it fucking matters, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah. And Smith was able to clarify that his tattoo was not an actual gun, and he was not charged with anything, obviously. So anyway. Yeah, and then the tattoo of the handgun on Smith dislocated on his stomach to look as if it's tucked into his waistband, but it was found he had no malicious intent. Obviously, it was a misunderstanding, and he didn't have a weapon. But we had to respond to the initial report as if he did. We take off
and that's what
when we don't have.
That's what's bothering me. That's what's bothering me so bad. It's his property. It's not Lucas Free.
He didn't come out guns are blazing and shit, man.
Right.
You know, so.
Right. It was a friggin' tattoo. He was. I'm pretty sure. I see that he was quoted saying, "I have stuff to do today. I didn't want to get shot." Fucking. I mean, really, he's probably pretty lucky they didn't just come and just shoot him.
Yeah, man.
Trigger happy.
So yeah, and then we had this thing that I was talking about earlier here. Obviously, this is from our space, so I had someone that says she knew him. I think maybe she was Facebook friends with him. I don't have any clue, but so yeah, she because I had put something on. I put the Ben Swan article on because oh yeah, sweet Ben Swan, BenSwan.com covered this. I didn't even realize it made national news. It was on Fox News and all this shit. So oh, Ben Swan covered it. So I'm like, that's cool. So I posted it, and so she's like, oh, Mike, the guy with the tattoo, said this never happened. So it's like, all right, there's pictures of it, all this shit, the reporter from the Morning Sentinel, they're not going to go make it up, and they're not going to, just take, I know that the mainstream media does, but this is Maine, and this is the Morning Sentinel, and I'm pretty positive that the Morning Sentinel doesn't pull that shit. It's a local thing, and they're, you know what I mean, they're not, this reporter is not going to go ruin her integrity by taking a fake picture of a cop standing behind a snowbank with an assault rifle and put it in there, and then put a fake interview quotes and shit like that. That's not going to happen. Right. So anyway, this girl tried telling me that I was, that didn't happen.
I have a pretty hard time finding a photo with the snowbanks that high.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, whatever. I mean, so anyway, yeah, so I was just it clearly shows one, a cop with an assault rifle hiding behind the bank, and so that I believe the story, and I'm like, why would they make that up? I mean, yeah, I agree that people make shit up, but this, use your common sense on this one. And so I talked to my cousin earlier, a little while ago, and pretty much confirmed everything that I was saying, because he actually did talk to him for a little bit. So he confirmed what I'm saying. So the bitch that decided to unfriend me, which I don't really even give a shit about, I think it's pretty funny, but I know she's not listening. But fuck you.
She unfriended you because of this.
I was right. So go do whatever. Go drink your coffee, brandy, and whatever.
Drink your Allen's coffee brandy.
Everyone's like, what is Allen's coffee brandy? That is a New England, mostly Maine thing. And it is.
It's the most consumed beverage in Maine.
I will admit, though, man, I don't mind it.
Really? Ooh.
I get pretty... Well, the night that you were driving out to my house and got lost and I fell asleep, that's what I was drinking. I got wasted, dude. I got wasted. Then I went up the stairs and I just laid on the bed. And I was waiting for you to get a hold of me.
Yeah.
Well, sure enough, Chris fell asleep and then woke up finally to all these text messages of you telling me that you couldn't find the house and all this shit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't like it. Oh.
I don't mind it. I mean, I'll drink it. You won't see me. I got a couple friends that we'll all drink it together sometimes. We'll have one of those mandatory drink, because that shit will get you messed up, dude. I mean,
Very
really.
well.
Well, that's when I got my OUI. That's what I drank. I drank one brandy.
Oh, yeah.
I got a fucking OUI. Yeah, one brandy.
Yeah.
One coffee brandy. And I got an OUI. It was, yeah.
Nice.
Needless
Nice.
to say, I do not get behind the wheel and drink and drive, just so people know. I used to back in the day. Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, people are listening. Don't judge me, because I guarantee you've probably done it too, so kiss my ass.
Everybody learns. You live and you learn.
But, after that, no, definitely not.
Mm-mm.
I've had a beer, but that was even after I got the star off my license.
Right. Well, there's a
Goddamn
difference between
star.
having a beer and driving home and getting drunk and driving.
No, there definitely is. And even the night that I got my OUI, man, it sucked, because I passed every sobriety test. Everything.
Mm-hmm.
I was fine, and I didn't get arrested or anything. Nothing. I was I told him. I was like, yeah, I drank one. I was honest with him. I'm like, yeah, I did. I had a drink. I had one drink. I drank one coffee brandy. I played cribbage. It was on Memorial Day, or it was because it was Memorial Day or Labor Day weekend or one of those weekends. And dude, I was at my friend's. I drank one coffee brandy. I felt like shit that night. That's why I went home at 10, and we were playing cribbage. So I played 2 games of cribbage, drank one brandy, drove home. This cop followed me all the way, almost into the town that I lived in. And you know where the ball field is in Athens, right?
Yep.
Obviously.
Yep.
Right there. He followed me all the way from, almost the town line of Cornville and Athens. Remember the Shed? That little restaurant type of, not restaurant, you know what I mean? The Shed. It's called the Shed. It's like some little, restaurant type of deal. It's like I don't even know. I don't know.
I know the area. I mean, I know right where you're talking.
The little, I guess it doesn't matter. It's by Route 43, though, and it had to put the intersection that heads you to Madison, Cornville.
Back towards Madison. Yes.
Yeah, right there. He caught up with me, I believe. I don't know where he was coming from, but yeah. So yeah, it was state police, but it was Augusta State Police, which is kind of fucked up. He was up there investigating a homicide. So I just happened to fucking get up there. He was behind me a long ways, and I had 2 plate lights, and one of them was out. So that's what he pulled me over for, and then realized that he didn't have my car wasn't registered. Oh, what was it? Registered. I can't remember. I think it might have not been registered. I think the registration had run out the month before or something. I can't remember what it was. It was something else that kind of flagged me on that. But, yeah. So, yeah, anyway. So he pulled me over for that, and I passed all the sobriety tests. And, I mean, he wasn't a dick, and I wasn't a dick. I was cool about it. I was like, yeah, man, I did. Right. I mean, you're allowed a certain amount. It's not like, I don't have I've never had an OUI or anything like that.
Right. And you were honest with them.
Yeah, but, the thing that got me was the part that he's like, oh, say the alphabet backwards from, E to Z. Who the fuck can do that, dude?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who the fuck can do that?
Nope.
So that's what did it. And I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? I couldn't do that, even if I didn't have a fucking drink, dude. I couldn't even do that. Who can? See, can you do it? I should have. If it was this day and age right now, I would have been like, you fucking recite that shit back to me right now. And if you can fucking do it, I'll do it. But, back in that day, man, I was in 2006, so I wasn't So I was like, whatever, man. So yeah, they brought me back to the sheriff's department or the jail or where it used to be, all in the same place there in Somerset County. Gave me the breathalyzer. I took it 6 or 7 times until I finally blew over. I ended up getting an OUI and just an OUI, I think. OUI, yeah, or maybe, yeah, no, it must have just been an OUI. I don't think there was any. I don't think no, because I had my license at the time, so I do have a couple OASs. But
right.
fuck the the whole license to drive shit. Now that I know what I know now, I wish I knew it back then when I got pulled over without a license. But
right, exactly. I do. Well, like I just said, you live and you learn, right? You grow older, get wiser. I see some kids getting pulled over on Route 2 the other day, and the cops had the dogs out, and had all the kids out and everything, and
yes,
I thought,
when me and you first met.
I hate it.
Me and you first met. What happened to me?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Dude,
You know what I hate? You know what I really hate is like the ones I see the other day, the kids that I see, that's what they were. They were kids, really high school kids. And these fucking pigs just turn these, innocent kids into, criminals. Or, give them records that are going to harm them for what? What were they doing? They weren't harming anybody.
And I'll admit, when I was, in high school, I didn't have that issue with cops because when I got pulled over and shit, they were decent. And I will say, back when I was in high school, they were nothing like they are today. Nothing.
Right.
And I trust me, I've dealt with cops many times, people. Yep. And I've been to jail. I mean, I've never been to jail for anything horribly bad. Obviously, I did one night in jail for the OUI, but
right.
The longest I've done in jail was 5 days. And that was only because, it was 4 days because I went in on Friday, so I couldn't get out till Monday. But Friday night, I was drinking coffee brandy around night too, man. that was a fucked up night too. But and I didn't even really do anything. I didn't even do anything, man. I was just out up at the University of Maine up in Orono, and I had a cup. And it was the last brandy, and it was, a bunch of friends with me and shit, and we didn't want to wait for the taxi, so me and my buddy, we started to walk. We're like, fuck it, we'll just walk. And they had a little, coffee travel mug, and
sure,
like a fucking idiot, dude, because I was pretty drunk. And cop drives by. Some stupid reason I threw the cup. Oh, stupid fucking mistake. This was a long time ago. And so he saw me do it. So that kind of fucked me over there. So whatever. So he was questioning me and shit. And there was some domestic dispute up the road while he was doing it. So he had to go up and deal with that. So I'm like, I got out of this and shit. So I get in the taxi, which was stupid. I never should have got in the taxi. But I did. And they ended up catching me at our drop-off and everything. So I had an unpaid fine, so they had to arrest me.
Yep.
And so I was in Penobscot from Friday night to Monday, and it wasn't really even that bad. It was everyone liked me because I was wasted when I went in there, and I was like, fuck you, I got my Hempstock t-shirt on there, and it's got the Bill of Rights on the back, I know my fucking rights, and I was just going off on them and shit,
Yep.
Even the cops and shit were laughing, they're like, all right.
That's funny.
Whatever.
No, every time I get arrested, it was never fun. It was never a good scene. Always had a problem with authority. And of course, when I was young, I just didn't know how to deal with them. I just knew I didn't like them. And I made sure that they knew I didn't like them, too. And did I ever.
I hear that.
Yeah. We won't go into my arrest stories. I've got a few.
Yeah. We'll save those for another day.
Yep.
Or for the after hours, maybe.
Yeah, maybe the after hours.
We just went on forever about all this shit. People are like, dude, we don't want to hear. I don't know, man. Maybe people do want to hear about our fucking mishaps and shit,
Hey. Got a lot of them to share.
We had some shit to cover in the first hour, but we didn't get to it.
No. Nah. No big deal.
It's all right, man. We have a great guest that it does definitely likes to talk, which is awesome.
It's good.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. That's definitely a good thing. One thing I did want to talk about, because we're not going to bring it up with him, was this article about Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton identified in lawsuit against his former friend and pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, whatever, who had regular orgies at his Caribbean compound that the former president visited multiple times. So his name is brought up in this lawsuit. So, yeah.
Many times.
And you see the picture of this Epstein guy, dude? Wow, dude. He looks like a pedophile, dude. He almost looks like Jerry Sandusky. And I'm not trying to laugh, because this is actually a serious thing, but we all know that Bill Clinton, we all know about Bill Clinton and his shit. So this doesn't surprise me, and it doesn't surprise me with anyone that's high ranking or whatever. Obviously, we know a lot about other people. We talked about it with James, who's been on shit with the Freemasons and shit. So we know shit's going down. We know that these little pedophile rings are going on and shit. And these high-powered people, for some reason, get their kicks off banging little kids, and it's fucked up, and it's not right, obviously. And,
no. I'm glad you bring that up. I'm glad you bring that point up, is because these sex rings, these child abduction cases and shit. These are people that run the world. These are the ones that are in power that are getting away with this shit.
So what's that telling you people? I mean, think about this. I mean, what more do you need to know? And I do stress that I might stress things on the show a lot, and I know a lot of the listeners that we have mostly agree with us. So I feel like I'm preaching to the choir a lot, but we might have these other listeners that are just tuning in or might not know. So we have to kind of approach it like that. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There's I did see something about, and there was actually something brought up in this article about Hillary running, and she might not run now. There's a Wall Street Journal article about how, the drama of his extramarital affairs is apparently just one concern for Clinton family loyalists, as a Wall Street Journal article released today details how blah blah blah. Anyway, so there was it was a Wall Street Journal article. Hillary Clinton circle isn't sure she should run for president in 2016. You think? And who's the other scumbag that was? We got Jeb Bush. Now we knew this was going to happen for the next election process. Jeb Bush is definitely. I think he's going to run. And
it's all signs are pointing to yes.
Between Rand Paul and Jeb Bush, and this is kind of fucks with people's heads, because we got Jeb Bush, we got Rand Paul. But you know what? I mean, I will say right now, there's a huge difference between Jeb Bush and Rand Paul. I can say that.
Probably.
Absolutely a huge difference. There really is. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not a Rand Paul fan. I'm a Ron Paul fan. I'm not a Rand Paul fan. But there's definitely a huge difference between Jeb Bush and Rand Paul. When it comes down to it, there might not be a huge difference between it. When you really start getting down, into the whole election process and shit like that, it will probably be. I can't even say similar, because I'm not even trying to compare the Pauls to the fucking Bushes, because that's insane. That's insane. That's insane. I know there's people that try to tell me that, Ron Paul, he's a Freemason and he's not. Well, you're an idiot. So he's not, okay? And you're an idiot. Okay? Oh, well, I saw the video of him doing the Freemason handshake. Well, you know what? I guess my grandfather and all these other old dudes that I shook hands with must have been giving me the Freemason handshake too, because I've got that millions, but I've got that many times. So that has nothing to do with it. And it doesn't, okay? So
right. I've heard that a lot.
It's the same breed, but it's a whole different breed between Ron Paul. The whole mindset and shit, it's different. So, and it really is. They're totally different people. So, don't blame Ron for what Rand does, because Ron didn't sell out and Rand did. And what's Ron gonna do? Give him a fucking spanking? What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do, man? He already admits that they're not on the same page. I mean, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna sit there and like talk shit about his son? And no, of course he's not gonna do that. It doesn't matter. Even if you don't agree with your son, it's not like you're gonna come out there and be like, and go against him and shit. You'd probably be in the background, just like, oh, what the fuck is he thinking? Shit like shit like that. But right. Think about it. If that's your, like I said on the show, I like to put myself in that person's position, and that's how I like to think. Yep. So when I when I put myself in Ron Paul's position or whatever, and that's how I think about things. And I think that's how people should actually sometimes, look at different things like this. I mean, just put yourself in their shoes. Tell me what you would do. Like, I think we brought this up with music industry shit, like Korn, Jonathan Davis. Wasn't it Jonathan Davis that we brought this up with? Put yourself in his shoes.
Right.
I mean, you have certain things. Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I brought that up on the Josh Reeves show, right? Wasn't it Josh Reeves that we had on that we brought that up?
Yes, anyway, yes, it was.
So,
yep, it was.
So, I don't know, whatever. But anyway, so, I mean, if anybody wants to read more on this, just go to the Bill Clinton stuff, Daily Mail. dailymail.co.uk, and it's on there.
Yeah, because his name's all through this lawsuit too. It's brought up everywhere.
That's what I'm saying. The name is all through the lawsuit. So like, some shit's gonna go down, and so there's something to go down, and there's people. I did want to get into. I might be able to even get into this with Joseph, but the whole banker thing. I want to get into this real quickly before I call up Joseph. We got the 12 bankers. It's definitely more than 12 bankers, but it's been 12 bankers in the last 8 months, right? So a lot of them are J.P. Morgan bankers. We had the Bitcoin CEO, right? Bitcoin CEO, right?
Mm-hmm. Bitcoin exchange CEO. It was for the exchange.
Yeah. So I mean, we got this whole thing with the bankers, and this all comes on the Forex. Bank of America. Hold on, I got an article right here. Bank of America under probe over U.S. housing program, Forex. Bank of America court may have a new mortgage problem on its plate, saying on Tuesday that federal investigators are looking into whether the bank violated requirements of a U.S. government housing program. Second largest U.S. bank said the civil division of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York in Brooklyn is investigating Bank of America's compliance with the rules of Federal Housing Administration's direct endorsement program. Bank of America made the disclosure in its annual report filed on Tuesday with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. So anyway, this was from February. That's an article from February, but I know people. I don't have enough time to get into it all. And if you're listening, just look up Forex and or just look up like Bank of America Forex or 12 bankers Forex. There's some stuff you can check out about it. These bankers had a lot to do with J.P. Morgan. People are speculating maybe that they actually had some information about this Forex shit that was going down, and Yeah, I mean, what you said, you posted something today about coincidence. It's not a fucking coincidence. These bankers are, and there might have been one that actually literally committed suicide, but there's no fucking way. What was it? 3 bankers in 1 week? Right. Were they all J.P. Morgan bankers? I don't remember.
They all had connections with J.P. Morgan, and this latest one does too.
All right, and they were all Wall Street. You had like the Deutsche Bank AG, blah blah blah, and shit. What was it? There was another one.
The latest gentleman here, this Kenneth Belando, he was part of J.P. Morgan. He was tied with J.P. Morgan. Just something's really going on here. I don't know. It's all speculation at this point, but this is not a coincidence. There's just no way. I'm not buying it.
I'm typing. I can't let.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah.
Shitty multitasking.
No, it's fine. I thought I might have lost you for a moment, but no, I'm not buying it. There's a lot to this. If they are all committing suicide, it's because something's about to break, or
well, no, there was something that happened, and they knew about it. There's no what was it? One of their
right.
I had this all up here, and I got rid of it, but there was one of the bankers was what was he, a son of, fuck, that sucks. All right, well, whatever. Maybe we can get into it later.
Yeah,
hold on, man. I got to connect Jeff here. I kind of forgot about Jeff. Jeff, you with us? No.
Well, maybe he's not with us anymore.
Hold on. I'll get him on here. He's probably grabbing his...
Hey, there he is.
He's grabbing his headphones and shit, trying to get on.
I was laying down, listening. Almost.
I was gonna send you a message before I started to, and then I connected you before I sent you the message. It was shit, dude, it's already past 9, so...
Hello.
I kind of lost track of time.
All right.
Joseph's probably dude, why hasn't this guy called me?
Right,
yes.
Right.
He did. He said something at 9. Oh, isn't the show starting at 9? I was like, yeah, I'll dial you in 5 minutes. So.
I just watched that documentary called The 1%. It was, made by heir to the Johnson & Johnson fortune, and it started off pretty good. I kind of liked it, although it was a little bit on the liberal side.
What was it called?
The 1%. The 1%.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
a little bit on the liberal side, but that's okay.
Liberal side. Oh boy. Well, I'm not going to watch
Democrat. It's still interesting.
No, I'm going to watch it. I watch conservative shit before I watch liberal shit. Any day of the week.
Well,
yeah,
it was, they got some good points. It's pretty good. It's actually pretty good.
Cool. I actually, since I got the proper internet back here, I did start watching some stuff, things that I was trying to get caught up on. Because as you guys know, for the past 3 weeks, I haven't been able to indulge into YouTube videos in my normal documentary thing that I like to do. That's what I normally like to watch is documentaries. So.
That's right. You can't watch this for now.
I can now, though. I can now. So.
You got the internet back?
Yes. So.
All right.
Well, I mean, I had internet before. It was just broadband. Right? It was mobile broadband, so it was not.
You don't have mobile broadband now?
Yeah. So yeah. Well, no. Well, I mean, I'm still before. I haven't moved yet, so I'm still sucking in from the neighbor's connection. But they got their internet back, so I'm sucking into their connection, and I can actually watch them now. So I'm pretty happy.
Very nice. Yeah.
Nice. It's some good shit. There's no doubt about it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's excellent.
So we're gonna Yeah, we're going to go to a break, and we're going to come back with our guest, which I'm very excited to talk to.
Definitely.
Dr. Joseph P. Farrell, one of my top 3 researchers and authors. It's a big-time honor to have him on here tonight. I'm just looking at something I want to... Oh, no, actually, I probably should get to the Ben Swann stuff, huh?
Oh, yeah, we won't play that.
Still with us, man. He's still with us. He's like, Ben Swann doesn't listen to our shows, because if he did, he might be like, oh, well, I don't want my clips on this show. I already told him how many listeners that we get, so I don't think he cares at this point.
Right.
He's just like, all right, man, you guys get at least 3,000 listeners a show, so say what you want. I was like, whatever, man. I don't think he cares anyway. I shouldn't even be saying that, because I really don't think he cares. He's actually a pretty good dude. Obviously, I've talked to him. Well, I can't say Mark has talked to him, but Mark's like, you fucking bastard.
No, I'm doing a little reading, yes. I was listening.
But anyway, yeah, so...
In South Carolina, all political parties are equal, but some are apparently more equal than others. I'm Ben Swann with your Truth in Media Moment, brought to you in part by benswann.com. South Carolina law requires that the state pay for open primaries using taxpayer funds. The state finances both the Democrat and Republican Party primaries. But last month, members of the South Carolina Libertarian Party found out they're apparently not as equal as the other 2 major parties. South Carolina has a new election law which says that parties that want to nominate their candidates by convention must first put the question on the June ballot. Fair enough, but in South Carolina, the state is denying the Libertarian Party access to a primary in which to get their vote that they need to nominate by convention. Michael Carmany, chairman of the South Carolina Libertarian Party, says he was shocked to receive a letter from the State Election Commission denying his request for a June primary. Why? Well, I'll explain after this. The destruction of constitutional liberties and endless foreign wars. The voice of the people silenced, while lawmakers simply enrich themselves and the political class. I'm Ben Swann. Is it about left versus right? No, the real fight is liberty versus tyranny. At benswann.com, we are breaking the left-right paradigm. We know that the American two-party system is broken, and that to restore American liberty means to restore your rights as an individual. At benswann.com, we cover stories the national media won't touch, from the National Defense Authorization Act to nullification, militarization of police, and crony capitalism. We are the face of new media. benswann.com, where humanity is greater than politics. So why would the State Election Commission in South Carolina tell libertarians they have no right to be on the primary ballot? The reason? More ridiculous than you would think. The state claims they cannot financially afford to comply with a new law signed into law by Governor Nikki Haley last June. Michael Carmany with the Libertarian Party of South Carolina tells benswann.com, quote, "They are breaking the law. Our tax money is being used to spend on Republicans and Democrats, but they don't want to spend it on any other parties." What's happening in South Carolina really comes down to this. The state has a new law that requires equal access for Republicans, Democrats, and any other political party. And yet we're told that the state will not comply with that law because they cannot afford it. Well, here's the answer to that problem. Equal means equal. If you cannot afford to allow the Libertarian Party on the ballot or to pay for their primary, then don't pay for Republican or Democratic primaries either. Require every candidate to be a write-in. Now, of course, that won't happen because Republicans and Democrats believe they have an absolute right to the ballot. For everyone else, apparently the ballot is just a privilege.
And on the 9th day, God spilled some coffee on an angry possum and God made a liberal. God said, I need someone willing to get up at the crack of noon and check their Facebook and tweet vile things, take a nap, borrow money from their parents, and stay out all night drinking Paps ironically and snorting bath salts and wine until midnight. So God made a liberal. He said, I need a person that can take a thriving community and turn it into a debt-ridden post-apocalyptic welfare state. I need someone who thinks meat is murder, produce is raised in grocery aisles, who can't fix a flat tire or change her own oil, and who, when forced to finally get a job as a barista, makes you wait for your latte while they play Angry Birds on their iPhone and then takes his union-mandated 2-hour break. So God made a liberal. God said, I need somebody dumb enough to believe in global warming and deficit spending, yet arrogant enough to look down at hard-working folk because they don't have a worthless PhD in 17th century Belgian lesbian studies. It had to be someone that would tax and spend, sue and attack, flip and flop, legislate from the bench and pass an unread bill, a person that would take a story of American success and turn it into a lesson of injustice. So God made a liberal. It had to be someone who'd lie to themselves and others and envy the successful, someone to whine, cry, demand, screech, and scream sexist, intolerant, xenophobic, homophobic, Islamophobic, racist, bigot. It had to be someone that at the end of the day they could go home after helping rip apart a country with divisive race and class war, and who would laugh and then sigh with mocking eyes, thinking, if I hadn't aborted all my children, they'd probably say they want to spend their life doing what Dad does. So God made a liberal.
The promise of becoming the most transparent administration in history has not only turned out to be untrue, it's actually becoming the converse. I'm Ben Swan with your Truth in Media Moment, brought to you in part by benswan.com. Is it possible that the Obama administration is not only not the most transparent, but has become the most secretive administration in U.S. history? Consider a new report from the Associated Press that states, quote, more often than ever, the administration censored government files or outright denied access to them last year under the U.S. Freedom of Information Act, cited more legal exceptions, it said, justified withholding materials, and refused a record number of times to turn over files quickly that might be especially newsworthy, end quote. So how does the president and his administration get away with this? And why do they say they're doing a good job? I'll tell you after this. The destruction of constitutional liberties and endless foreign wars. The voice of the people silenced while lawmakers simply enrich themselves and the political class. I'm Ben Swan. Is it about left versus right? No, the real fight is liberty versus tyranny. At benswan.com, we are breaking the left-right paradigm. We know that the American two-party system is broken, and that to restore American liberty means to restore your rights as an individual. At benswan.com, we cover stories the national media won't touch, from the National Defense Authorization Act to nullification, militarization of police, and crony capitalism. We are the face of new media. benswan.com, where humanity is greater than politics. The chief of the Justice Department's Office of Information Policy, which oversees open records law, told the Senate last week that some of the 99 agencies in the past 5 years have released documents in full or in part in more than 90% of cases. She also pointed out that a record number of requests for information were made, more than 700,000 for the first time last year. The Obama administration patting themselves on the back for transparency. But what the Obama administration isn't telling you is that in nearly 250,000 cases, government censored or fully denied access to information. That was 36% of the time. In almost another 200,000 cases, the government said it couldn't find records. A person refused to pay for copies, or the government determined the request to be unreasonable or improper. What's more, when government did provide information, sometimes the government censored only a few words, like an employee's phone number. But other times, it completely marked out nearly every paragraph on pages. Look, the reality is this. Government is not responsive to journalists or the public. But in reality, that's not just an Obama problem. That's a problem with bureaucratic view. A bureaucratic view that for too long has been bred in America, regardless of which party, Republicans or Democrats, is in power.
Hey, we're back after the sort of a long break. Was that long enough for you, Mark?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was fine.
I know we didn't take a break from when we started out, so it's the way it goes, right? But yeah, so let's get to let's get to the subject of the show, subjects, because we have a lot to talk about tonight, obviously. We do have Dr. Joseph P. Farrell on the line with us, and we are very happy to have Joseph on tonight.
Right.
Yeah, he's one of my top. I'll say top 3, and that's great. Top 3 authors and researchers that I know of, and very, 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 very proud to have Dr. Joseph P. Farrell on the line tonight. Joseph, how's it going?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Very happy to have you on. Honestly, it really is. It's really cool to have you on. I mean, we've had a lot of people on, but I really wanted to get you on because your opinions and all your research and everything it's really inspired me, and you're a very inspiring person to me personally. So I'm happy that we actually got you on. And
well, thank you.
So
definitely.
I thought I'd throw that out here. I know that Mark has been. I've been getting Mark into your research lately and everything, and and I know Jeff. Okay, so we got me. Chris obviously is the host, but I got Jeff and Mark who are my co-hosts, and they've definitely been getting into your research lately, and I'm just proud to have you on. It is a big deal to me, so I'm happy that you're on, man. So my co-hosts are just kind of learning here about you, but they're definitely into your research, and I'm really happy for that.
Sure.
Well, thank you.
Yes, great to have you on.
Jeff, you still with us?
Yes. I'm looking forward to the talking with you,
Just making sure that you're still on the line, man, because we know we have issues. We know we do get the issues here when we have issues here on the show.
Well, you're doing a lot better, Chris, so that's good.
Yeah. Everyone that's listening knows that we do have issues on the show. So, I mean, like the nights that we had like Tim Swartz on and stuff like that. We've had some weird stuff going on, but I mean, we have Joseph Farrell on tonight, so that's extremely awesome. So it's very great to have you on, man. And I'm pretty sure that I'm my co-host. Actually haven't gotten into your books or anything, but they know, especially Jeff, I know he's on the subjects a lot and agrees a lot with what you say. But yeah, so I mean, we want to get into the breakaway civilizations and stuff like that tonight. And I know you can tell us a lot about it because you and Richard Hoagland and Jim Mars are my main guys that I go to for my information, because there's nobody, as far as I'm concerned, that connects the dots better than you guys. Like you are my 3. You're my my top 3. So it's an honor. It's an honor to have you on. I don't mean to sound like that, but I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm looking here. There's about a half a dozen topics here, and I guess any one of them we could spend hours talking about.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying to you, Jeff, earlier. I was like, well, we could talk about so many things with him, because there's so many topics to talk about, and he covers so much, and he like connects the dots. And like I mentioned in the first hour of the show, how Joseph connects the dots so greatly.
Right.
Like that's the thing. Like he's like connecting the dots, and that's what I respect about him. So that's part of the reason why I respect him so much, is because he takes the dots and he actually connects them. And I don't know. Anyone who has the mindset of me probably knows what I'm talking about tonight. So.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, Joseph, is there any specific topic right now that is at most appealing to you? I guess most in the front of your mind that is.
Well, it's your show, guys. You fire away.
Right.
So actually, before we get into your books and everything, I would like to get into something, because I did the whole Malaysia Airlines and stuff. I know I did kind of listen to a show today with what is it, the Bike Show or
right,
whatever. But yeah. So I actually want to, and maybe you didn't want to talk about this now. I don't know, whatever. But the whole Malaysia Airlines thing, like, what is your opinion on what's going on? We don't have to get into it really deeply and for a long time, but I am kind of curious.
I prefer not to get into it too deeply, because
I figured
it's a topic that I'll be real honest and say that I've been watching this story and gathering a lot of articles and so on in a folder, which has already accumulated quite a few. So I haven't even had time to really sit down and sift through it all. But
same thing here.
What I've seen is that I'll be very frank and say that I'm extremely suspicious of the story as it has begun to emerge in, let's say, from a time period of about 2 or 3 days after the initial disappearance. And what I'm seeing looks to me like there's a concerted effort to get everybody in the international community more or less singing off the same page.
Right.
And the page that I think they're trying to push and get everybody to sing the same tune is that this was some sort of hijacking, and that it was taken. Most recently, I saw a clip of General McInerney on the Fox News network. I believe it was on Sean Hannity. I'm not really certain of that, but I saw that clip, and it looks to me now like what we have is a case of an event which may or may not have been planned by someone with connections to intelligence services and covert operations planning and execution, and it may or may not have been that. I'm still very hesitant to accept that story for reasons I'll get into, but it does look to me, at the minimum, like an event has occurred that they have decided to exploit as an event of opportunity to notch up the terrorism fear again. I think there's a certain prospect that they are trying to legitimize in a secondary fashion some aspects of the 9/11 story. But I'm not yet settled that the hijacking scenario, in any sense, is the real event that they're dealing with.
I agree completely. Yeah.
I'm willing to maintain what I call wackadoodle speculations.
Yeah. It's fun.
That's what
great.
it is. Have you heard Loren Moret's theory that
I've heard every theory in the book, but quite frankly, I am extremely skeptical of everything that's being put out. The problem is we're dealing with obfuscation, and whenever we're dealing with obfuscation this quickly and in the progress of an event, then that tells me we're dealing with deep operations of some sort. And again, the problem is, the question is why. But at this stage, I'm reluctant to comment much further other than to say just what I've said.
Right. Okay. I guess the one thing I found suspicious was 2 days before the plane went down, the Department of Defense put that video on their YouTube channel showing an example of their new laser technology. And then the next day they did the press release, and then the day after that, this whole thing gets shot down.
Well, yeah, there's all sorts of problems with the timing of the event. There's all sorts of problems with basically any scenario by which one might analyze it. The problem with the laser scenario, you can shoot down an aircraft, but the problem there is we'd have debris.
Right.
And the debris, I find it very suspicious that China would come out with a satellite photo and then withdraw it. I find it very suspicious that the field of search was then changed from the South China Sea to the Indian Ocean, which is two different matters, because the Indian Ocean is rather deep, and if eventually they do find debris, I suspect that the reason they shifted it to the Indian Ocean is so that they can salt a debris field, so that it will be very difficult for people without technological access to things that would give them access to those kinds of depths can verify it. So the story is fishy from any way that one slices it. Beyond that, and I'll say one more thing, and then beyond that, I don't want to go too much further in depth. Beyond that, I suspect that we could have the possibility, and I underline possibility, that we are dealing with an actual disappeared airplane, and that no one knows what has happened to it. But the national security structure, for whatever reason, has decided to make political capital out of the event. But I suspect that the core of this may still be exactly what was initially reported, that we have a missing aircraft and no one can find it. And if that's the case, then they've got some powerful players on the block, or we have a natural phenomenon that has the physicists scratching their heads. But in either case,
Tom, that's why I'm worried about it, is that it's going to turn into some sort of like new Bermuda Triangle type thing, and like and I mean, because if like the first 24 hours, didn't the Vietnamese Navy come out and claim that they found the wreckage? And then, like, within 24 hours, it's as though they were bribed and threatened and and then, like, they started shut up about it.
Vietnam claimed to have found an oil slick and a door, and that's all we were told. And then the slick was said to be the wrong kind of fuel. So at this point, it was at that point, and then at the point that the United States came out and said that our satellites had detected no mid-air explosions or anything of that sort. When those two things came out, that was when I began to raise the red flag of suspicion over the whole thing. If it had been an explosion, if it had been something like that, and then the U.S. came out and denied that they had seen anything like that, well, given the amount of other nations that have satellite resources in that area, China, India, most likely Russia and Japan as well, we would have heard at least Russia and China scream bloody murder. They would have made political capital out of it as well against the United States, and they're not doing that. And this is why I think that you're dealing with some pretty heavy behind-the-scenes maneuvering, so that everyone gets the same story and sings off the same page. And that's what tells me we might be dealing with a truly extraordinary event.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So I guess reading your biography here, I guess the one thing that really strikes me is the whole Nazi connection and Project Paperclip and the Bushes and all, and like how much control they have over things today. Nazi gold being smuggled into the country. Was Hitler alive in Argentina? Did they escape to Antarctica? All these questions.
Yeah,
right.
And that is definitely something I want to get into because the whole Argentina thing. So yeah, thank you, Jeff, for bringing that up.
Didn't Hitler supposedly just die?
Yeah, we can get through that right now, probably pretty quickly because I know that Mr. Farrell has a lot of information on that via his books, and so starting at the whole the World War II, where it ended, supposedly ended, and we had the whole the Hitler and Eva von Braun and everything that went on after World War II. And Joseph knows what we're talking about because he writes books about him.
Well, let me dispense with the Hitler in Antarctica meme. This emerged between 1955, just pull a figure out of our head, and then the early 1960s. There were a series of articles that really appeared in circles that had connections with neo-Nazis, and of course, I cast a pall of suspicion over that right away. The meme, if you will, is that the Nazis established a base of some sort in Antarctica, and you find this repeated oftentimes in very uninformed UFO circles, that they had a secret base there, that they were researching their technological gimmicks and toys in Antarctica. The problem with that story is that while the Nazis were indeed researching some very, very exotic things, I think in particular of the Bell Project, when you examine the Bell Project, what you had was the Germans built a facility in Lower Silesia in the mining country there. That's that little finger of Germany on the pre-World War II maps that kind of stuck down between Poland and Czechoslovakia. That region is Silesia. And there's, in the mountains there are lots of mines and things of that sort. Well, they turned one of these facilities in a town called Ludwigsdorf at the time. In modern times, the town is called Ludwikowice in Poland. But they established an installation there, and they built an entire power plant, an electrical power plant at this facility where they were testing this device. So, in other words, the problem with Antarctic saucer research bases, to get right down to it very bluntly, is it required enormous power, which, the Germans would have been very hard-pressed to build a base for research requiring that kind of power commitment during the height of World War II. So I dismiss this. I'm not doubting that they had some sort of base there. But most likely it was, perhaps a hidden submarine pen at best, a weather prediction station certainly for their Southern Atlantic and Indian Ocean operations. But I don't think it went much beyond that. In terms of where they built facilities after the war to conduct that kind of research, it's very, very clear that they built these things in Argentina, in Rio Negro province, which is about 900 miles or so southwest of Buenos Aires, right along the Andes Mountains with the border of Chile. So that's where they were conducting this research, and we know that they were doing this because Perón told the world about it in 1951, and then very quickly the world press began to ridicule, essentially, what Perón claimed he was up to, which was basically controlled fusion. And when he gave this press conference, he pulled out his favorite German scientist, a fellow by the name of Ronald Richter. And Richter's ideas were very, very quickly disparaged in the world press as being scientifically implausible. But the problem with that story is if you dig a little further, Richter, and I do this in a book called Nazi International. I go into the Richter story in some detail because it's very important. Richter essentially claimed that he was getting controlled fusion reactions at thermal gradients that were far, far below what was then the standard theory, still is the standard theory for that matter, for thermonuclear fusion, which requires millions of degrees Kelvin in order to achieve the heat and pressure gradients necessary to achieve fusion. But Richter claimed that he was getting it at orders of magnitude below the threshold of the theory, and of course he was just roundly lambasted for that. But if you dig long enough in his FOIA, you know, if you do the FOIA request and send for the files on Richter, which I did, you'll discover that the U.S. Air Force secretly interviewed him some 3 years after his project had been exposed, and that after Perón had placed him under house arrest. And Richter told the Air Force that he had observed the phenomena that he was researching there in Argentina as early as 1936 in Nazi Germany. And what he says is that, in his opinion, plasmas are transducers of the lattice effects of local space-time. And he uses the phrase, and it's one of the first times that the phrase is actually used. What he says is that plasmas act as a transducer for the zero-point energy. So in other words, what Richter's saying, in effect, is he's giving the very first version of what's called lattice-assisted nuclear reactions, which is the modern theory, which is accepted by many scientists, for how cold fusion works. All right. So in other words, this guy is doing this in the 1950s. And the U.S. Air Force, one Atomic Energy Commission scientist that was interviewed by the Air Force to evaluate Richter's work, came out and very bluntly said that this guy is some sort of mad genius working in the 1970s, you know, 2 decades ahead of everybody else.
Right.
I think if you're going to look for Nazi survival, and if you're looking for Nazi independent research in their advanced projects after World War II, you don't look to Antarctica. You look to Latin America, and you look specifically to Argentina.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, perfectly. See?
So do you think Hitler recently died, like a lot of people are claiming?
Well, Hitler was born in 1888. So you know, if he died recently, I mean, he would have been a doddering old tyrant, you know. But I tend to think that yes, he survived the war, and I changed my views on that over the course of researching these books. I originally accepted the standard version that he committed suicide in the bunker. But if you examine the standard version, there's many different versions of the standard version, and they're all mutually contradictory. Right. And the other problem with the standard version that, you know, was put out by Sir Hugh Trevor Roper, working for British intelligence after the war, the problem with the standard view is everybody needed Hitler to be dead, so they just made him dead.
Right.
Yeah.
And the story as it's recounted is, you know, it's a story that's being told by a bunch of Nazis. So, you know, for 12 years we vilify the Nazi regime as being nothing but pathological liars, but we're willing to believe what they tell us when it comes to the death of Hitler. You know? The real question to ask yourselves is would if Hitler had a life insurance policy with, say, Prudential, would they have paid out on the policy given the story?
Yes, that's a perfect question. That is. That's a good question. So, what do you all think about that? Right. So.
So, do you think George W.'s grandfather could be Aleister Crowley?
George W. Bush? Well, I've heard the story, and quite frankly, there's so much nonsense floating around on the internet. I tend to just, you know, the people that tell these stories, if you can give me the footnotes and argue a plausible case, I'm willing to listen. But so far, I haven't seen any really plausible indication of that. But we don't really need to throw Aleister Crowley into the mix because
we don't. No, I agree.
The problem there is that, you know, his grandfather Prescott certainly did have dealings with Fritz Thiessen and Union Bank and all of that. So So, I find that whole thing very suspicious.
Yeah, I guess you'd have a similar response to the sheriffs. Is that the correct
Yeah,
last
the
name?
idea, the sheriffs. I've heard that too, and every now and then people send me that story thinking that they found a real golden nugget of information. But I'm just, I'm sorry, I'm just not persuaded of any of that. If
I agree.
So if that were the case, then it would have been made political capital by somebody that's opposed to the Bush family, and they would have dug into the story, uncovered it, and I just don't see that has happened yet.
So I take it you don't feel there's some sort of connection between the Bushes and the Nazis?
Oh, on the contrary, absolutely there is. Absolutely.
No,
there
I know.
is.
Yeah, I was going to say I know that Joseph does have a connection on that. So
I mean, like present day, like today, as in this whole Clinton / Bush thing they got going on. I want to call it a monarchy. It seems to be the way. Like
Well,
oligarchy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but that's not really what I get into in the books. But if you look at the pattern of American and German business relationships before and after the war, the pattern is very much the same in both cases. It's not really the Bushes that have these connections exclusively with Nazi businessmen and so on. It's rather that you find a recurring pattern. Let me give you an example. One of the most famous people that I talk about in the various books, particularly in SS Brotherhood of the Bell and in Nazi International and those two books, and to a lesser extent another book called LBJ and the Conspiracy to Kill Kennedy, because I do get into the Nazi angle, which very, very few assassination researchers get into, and it's definitely there. In fact, it's so there that Jim Garrison, when he did his investigation, investigated it, but he was so mystified as to what it meant that it really didn't form any final part of his indictment of Clay Shaw. And it also formed, if you look at Oliver Stone's JFK movie and view the director's cut, you'll find in the director's cut he does have George de Mohrenschildt as one of the main players hiding in the background of the assassination. And again, that director's cut didn't make the theater, and in the director's cut you don't really have any clue as to why George de Mohrenschildt's there and why he's significant.
Right.
And most people misinterpret that man, in my opinion, as a CIA operative, which I don't think he is. I think he's a German Bundesnachrichtendienst operative, and that's a very different matter. But if you look at some of the people involved in German-American business contacts, one of the most significant names is John J. McCloy. Now, if you look at who McCloy is, he is, after the war, the American High Commissioner for Germany. So in other words, this is the man reviewing the cases of Germans to decide if they need to be prosecuted for war crimes, to decide if they need to go through the denazification process, and so on and so forth. So in other words, this man is in a very, very powerful position. If you look, however, at his connections before the war, you'll discover that John J. McCloy was I.G. Farben's American lawyer. You'll discover that John J. McCloy shared Adolf Hitler's box at the 1936 Berlin Olympics.
Wow.
You'll discover that John J. McCloy, of course, was one of the 7 members of the Warren Commission. And on we could go. So in other words, it's not just the Bush family that has these connections. It's deeply, in my opinion, it's deeply woven into the fabric of post-war American deep politics. So that's the problem right there. And when you bring over the, pardon me?
Bush might just be their front men then, the Bushes.
Well, the family definitely has a murky past. I mean, you can't get rid of, by any process of sanitization, you cannot get rid of the fact that Prescott Bush had the connection to Fritz Thiessen, that his holdings in Union Bank were seized during the war as enemy assets, and so on and so forth. You just can't get around that. So, my point here with all of this is to show that you can do genuine research. You don't need to go to wild tales of the George Scherf and, all of these things that are out there. And the only thing they really do is they serve to muddy the waters and take people away from genuine research. And it's when you start doing the genuine research and connecting some of the dots that are there that, the eyebrows are certainly raised when you're done.
You're right. I mean, but it's true. I mean, but during the JFK assassination, wasn't the Bush Sr. head of the CIA at the time? So he may have.
Well, no. George Bush doesn't become head of the CIA until Richard Nixon appoints him to that position. I think in the early 1970s. However, when you dig and scratch into the assassination, you'll discover that there is a George Bush that's mentioned in the records, and it's later denied that it's the same George Bush that later becomes president. I doubt that very much, because the George Bush that we know has some sort of connection. If you dig into Zapata oil and Operation Zapata, which of course is the Bay of Pigs code name, it does appear that he has some connection there, although no one knows exactly what it is. But again, there's an excellent documentary out, and I forget what the name of it is, that somebody put together on his possible role in the Kennedy assassination. And he does the dot connecting. In other words, he points out, his intelligence background, his skull and bones background, connection to Averell Harriman and that whole hornet's nest of high finance. So, yeah, I definitely think there's a connection.
I may have seen the same documentary. I wish I could find out what the name was, because it was pretty good. It was entertaining.
Yeah, it was Dark Secrets or something like that. I forget what the exact name of it is.
Okay. So I guess how much in control are the Nazis in today, and what are their plans, and how do we stop them?
Well, I think that's the $64 trillion question. I tend to think, and again, people have to read the books to find out why I think this in detail, because without the details, it just sounds kind of crazy and kooky. But I tend to think that the Nazis after the war were kind of an independent extraterritorial state, and that they continued in that operating pattern or operational mode, if you will, for at least a decade to perhaps as much as 2 to 2.5 decades after the war. I do think that as a result of certain things that occurred during the space program in the early 60s, that the Nazis, that they made another deal with the devil, effectively, to gain some Nazi technology that would assist in the Apollo program in return for sharing possibly whatever information may have been available. At that point, I think that, and if you track the covert operations history, an excellent book called The Beast Reawakens, if you track that aspect of the story, I think that they become almost synonymous with what some people have maintained as kind of a rogue group within the American intelligence national security structure. So it's very, very difficult after a certain point in history to sort out the Nazi influence from the homegrown American one, because the homegrown American one, let's be honest, looks increasingly fascist, and there's your influence right. There's your influence right there.
So I guess if Project Paperclip never happened, you think we would be less corrupt, or it would have eventually become inevitable anyway for us to?
Well, I think the corruption was there. The corruption was there in order to enable Operation Paperclip. I think it would have perhaps taken longer, would have manifested itself eventually. In fact, I think the corruption openly stepped onto the stage in the Kennedy assassination and declared itself. But I don't think, it's another good question, I don't think that the Nazi influence that we see and saw in history would have been quite the same. It would have been very different. But by the same token, I don't think that our technological progress would have been nearly as fast as it has been with that influence.
Right.
You know, we need to remember that the biggest technological explosion in history took place in the 12 years of the Third Reich and during the war, and that the biggest technology transfer in history occurred after the war, when we literally brought over, I think it was something like 117,000 tons in rail carts, tons of classified Nazi patents and documents and things like that.
Wow.
That was the biggest. Yeah, it's a big wow. And that's the other part of the story that most people don't even look into and talk about very much.
So I guess is it inevitable that they're going to get what they want in the end, or is there a way to defeat them and to stop them and to?
Who you mean, the Nazis?
Yeah. Is your outlook for the future gloomy, or are you optimistic or pessimistic? I should say.
In the long run, I'm optimistic. In the short to mid-term, I'm gloomy.
Right.
In the long run, I'm optimistic simply because tyrannical forms and systems of culture and government never work.
Right.
And the reason is very simple. It goes against an innate human desire for liberty. But in the short and midterm, I'm very gloomy because of the scale of corruption and the scale of the technology that's available precisely to people in power and that are corrupt. It's a very gloomy picture.
Okay. I just saw about a week ago something. I mean, I'm not trying to change the subject here, but I don't know how much time we have you on for. But I saw something on the Giza pyramids, and the people were claiming that they were using remote viewing, and they found that the pyramids were actually used as a way to communicate throughout the world. What's your?
Well, oh boy.
Yeah.
It may be necessary for one of our little breaks here if we can do one of those, because that you're opening up a Pandora's box there, and I want to make sure that I get into the details adequately enough. So can you give me a couple minutes to take care of some things and to make a couple cigarettes, and I'll get back with you.
All right.
Can we just take a break here? Take a 5-minute break.
5-10 minutes.
I know jokes. It's like I want to smoke a cigarette and come back to this.
I'll smoke a cigarette right here on the air. I just want to make them.
No. I'm down with taking a break.
Okay.
And we
all right. I'll be back in about 2 to 3 minutes.
All right.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah. So we'll take a break and
we'll get back to it.
We'll bust out a couple little parody commercials, and we'll be back.
Hi, I'm Steve.
I'm Irene. I'm Lisa.
My name is Tom. I'm a graphic designer,
College freshman, stay-at-home mom with a full-time job,
scholar on social policy, and a barista. And I'm just like you.
I'm an Obama supporter.
I support President Obama.
But the president needs your help.
Our president can't launch into another war without you. And remember, when we voted for him in 2008 and 2012, we promised to support him no matter what. Together, we can do it.
That's why we here at the Americans for Whatever Barack Obama Wants Did You Know He's Friends with Jay-Z have launched a Kickstarter campaign to fund World War III. And America is dead-ass broke, so our goal is to raise $1.6 trillion on behalf of the U.S. government.
That's where you come in.
Even a small donation would make all the difference.
World War III is a very important, very progressive war that Obama tells me is very important. So it must be.
When I first saw the president speak in 2008, in a YouTube clip posted to my Facebook page, I knew he was going to be right all the time. So I support World War III and IV and any moon war the president may want to start.
I mean, there is no way that he or the cabal of corporate interests, spy agencies, and shadow bankers would tell him what to do would ever mislead us.
Talk about a wake-up call. I was paying for all the doctor's visits, insurance premiums, and medical costs out of pocket. All these expenses were keeping me from living the carefree lifestyle that I wanted. Then the government told me about Obamacare. Now with Obamacare, I don't worry about my health care. I eat whatever I want, whenever I want. I get all my prescription drugs for free, and there's no more coverage gap. I no longer need to worry about pre-existing conditions. We can see any doctor whenever we want for any reason, and so can everyone else.
Obamacare is not for everyone, like congressmen. If you are already healthy, do not use Obamacare, as you will see your premiums go up. If you are a sick person, do not use Obamacare, as you will see your premiums go up. Many people on Obamacare may experience longer wait times and fewer doctors, and denial of your treatment of choice. If you are faced with a healthcare situation, you may be denied treatment through government rationing.
Obamacare even covers my kids up to age 26.
If you experience a recession lasting more than 4 years, stop taking Obamacare and contact a travel agent to move to the Bahamas or New Zealand.
And the best thing is that Obamacare is free.
Obamacare is not free. Obamacare will increase the national debt by $863 billion in 10 years. Your taxes will go up $569 billion by 2019. If you see a major jump in your premiums, you should opt out of Obamacare immediately. Opting out of Obamacare is illegal and will incur major fines and penalties unless you are a union member who received a special waiver from the Obama administration.
Crimea overwhelmingly votes to leave Ukraine for Russia as 60,000 Russian troops are amassed on the border. So what does it mean for Americans? I'm Ben Swan with your Truth in Media Moment, brought to you in part by benswan.com. 95% of the vote on Sunday was in favor of Crimea breaking away from Ukraine and joining Russia, a desire that Russia's President Vladimir Putin says he will honor. Well, of course he will. Well, meanwhile, as we've been telling you, the United States, the EU, NATO, they're all opposing the vote, calling it illegitimate and illegal, and continuing to say that they will consider harsh sanctions against Russia. And while the West and Western media are all in a frenzy about Putin's invasion into Ukraine, there's a very important point here that media is missing. I'll tell you all about that when we come back. The destruction of constitutional liberties and endless foreign wars. The voice of the people silenced, while lawmakers simply enrich themselves and the political class. I'm Ben Swan. Is it about left versus right? No, the real fight is liberty versus tyranny. At benswan.com, we are breaking the left-right paradigm. We know that the American two-party system is broken, and that to restore American liberty means to restore your rights as an individual. At benswan.com, we cover stories the national media won't touch, from the National Defense Authorization Act to nullification, militarization of police, and crony capitalism. We are the face of new media. benswan.com, where humanity is greater than politics. The part of the story about Ukraine that Western media is missing, Vladimir Putin didn't just invade Ukraine. The harsh truth here, the push for independence in Ukraine that led to the ousting of President Viktor Yanukovych was paid for and backed by the West, the United States, Europe, and NATO. The goal was to push Ukraine to enter the EU. Look, I'm no lover of Russian politics, but this is about truth. The truth is the West, governments, and private individuals funded Ukrainian revolutions for years, including the Orange Revolution, which was funded in part by George Soros and the National Endowment for Democracy. This latest revolution that ousted Yanukovych was paid for by the U.S. government, and in part by eBay founder Pierre Omidyar, who invested over $335,000 into a group called New Citizen to help create these uprisings. Omidyar contributed 35% of New Citizen's funding. Another 56% came from U.S. aid. Look, one reason Americans have such a hard time wrapping their heads around what's happening in Ukraine is because we ignore what the West, including our own government, is doing. The West helped us start the uprisings in Ukraine. The West funded those uprisings for years. And when the West helps to create regime change, which in turn creates a power vacuum, we're then shocked and angered that the Russians will take advantage of that vacuum. For stories that affect your liberty, you can find me online at benswan.com, where humanity is greater than politics.
So I restored the affect the liberty of Ben Swan. So it's gonna play that. Mark and Jeff are like, dude, what the hell?
I don't know.
I gotta play those.
Feel it in the Ben.
I have to play those though. I have to play those. Mm-hmm. I really have to play those every show. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Like giving me shit, you know. You don't give me shit for playing the Ben Swan clips because I have to. That's our thing, man. That's our thing, man.
Who's giving you shit? Jeff was?
No, I don't.
No one's giving anyone shit. I'm just like.
Better not be.
No, Ben Swan's good. Good people.
Yes, obviously. We wouldn't play the clips if it wasn't for Ben Swan. So we love Ben Swan, and we love clips, and we love playing the Truth in Media moment. And,
Ben Swan might be the only person left on the media that I'm 100% certain hasn't, you know.
Yeah.
That yeah.
It's good that we're affiliated. It's great that we're affiliated with Ben Swan.
It breaks my heart to say that, but whatever.
Yeah, I know. I absolutely hear what you're saying. So it's great. It's great. You know, but hey, man. I talk to Ben and all the time, and you know, it's good that we do what we do. So that's you know.
Of course it is.
Mr. Ben Swan, man, and I have a lot of respect for Mr. Ben Swan, as I have the respect for Joseph P. Farrell. So let's get on to the subject that we were on.
Pyramids. I just saw that. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to throw it all. I'm sorry for throwing it all at you like that, but I mean.
No, that's all right. Well, the pyramid, I began this whole, I guess, career of mine of alternative research and writing with the Great Pyramid.
Right.
In a trilogy of books that I call the Giza Death Star trilogy.
Yeah.
Basically my hypothesis, and it's a hypothesis that's so wackadoodle and crazy that I put as kind of the signature epigraph of the whole series of books a statement of the physicist Niels Bohr to the other physicist of his era, Werner Heisenberg, who, of course, was one of the founders of quantum mechanics with the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. And Bohr basically is quoted as having told Heisenberg, "Sir, we're all agreed your theory is crazy. The question that divides us is whether it's crazy enough." And that's kind of the epigraph over my whole pyramid series of books, because I maintain the hypothesis that it may have been constructed as a very, very sophisticated weapon of some sort that really has to function on paradigms of physics that are out of the mainstream. Now, what does all this have to do with communications? Well, if you go to my website, and I hope I can plug my website here for just a second, because
for sure.
It's called www.gizadeathstar.com, and the name of the website is because of that series of pyramid books. If you go on that website and then do a Google search for, I think it's Area 51 Pyramid, because a few years back on Google Earth, people began to notice that there was a picture of a pyramid, a tetrahedral, four-sided pyramid that had been built in the Nevada desert in some government installation.
Right.
And the question is, why build a pyramid in connection with an area that is well known for nuclear research? And the answer that I hypothesized long ago, before I even was familiar with that picture in the pyramid books, was that this phenomenon, the pyramid, the Great Pyramid, was probably built to tap into, to access, and to create longitudinal waves in the medium. So what's a longitudinal wave? Well, if you want a simple analogy between Hertz waves, which is what people listen to on television or the radio if they're not hooked up to cable, a Hertz wave is if you stand two people together, suspend a jump rope between them, and have one person jerk the jump rope up and down, it'll create an S wave, a sine wave, that travels to the other person. The trouble with sine waves is that most of the energy of the wave is in the up and down motion, and very little of it's transmitted to the person at the other end of the jump rope. But if you take the same two people and suspend a yardstick between them, and then have one person at one end pulse or push the yardstick repeatedly and rapidly, all of the energy gets transferred to the person at the other end. You don't have the energy drain. So a longitudinal wave is a pressure wave of compression and rarefaction in a medium. And I suspect, and I've argued in several books, not just the pyramid books, but in connection with the Nazi books, in connection with another book I wrote called Grid of the Gods, I've argued that nuclear weapons create a longitudinal pulse in the physical medium. And the interesting thing about a longitudinal wave in the physical medium itself, or if you prefer to speak of it this way, the fabric of space-time, it's another way of saying a space warp. It's an area of compression and rarefaction in the fabric of space-time and the cellular structure of space-time. And when you say that, we're right back to Richter, of course, and his fusion project in Argentina. I suspect that they discovered this phenomenon during their nuclear testing, and in particular when they created the hydrogen bomb, which is, as you know, several orders of magnitude, 3 orders of magnitude more powerful than an atom bomb.
Right.
So they discovered the phenomenon, and I suspect that one reason they began to investigate it was because their calculated yields for hydrogen bombs, when they first set them off, the bombs exceeded their calculated yields, in one case immensely so, and in another case dramatically less than what they had calculated. And they realized, I think secretly, that they were dealing with a phenomenon of physics that their models didn't predict and that they didn't understand, and that this model most likely involved longitudinal waves. So why would they be doing that? I think that's why, and that's the Pandora's box in a nutshell.
Wow. Okay.
I like that. Okay. So this, for some reason, this made me think of the whole EMP, the whole Dick Cheney trying to scare the population into, and I don't buy into the. Yeah, Chris.
Yeah. Not even into that, but like we had 2 bombs during World War II. We had what was it, little boy and fat
man.
Right.
Right. So one of these bombs, and I don't know this for sure, but I know I've read your books, Joseph, and obviously I'm a big Richard Holden fan, and so like one of the bombs, they weren't actually tested, right? It was something that they.
Well, yeah, this what began the Nazi series of books, and let me kind of explain their order and why I put them in that order.
That's why I said that, because I know that like your books got into that, so I covered that.
Well, I began the Nazi series of books. There are several books in the Nazi series, and the reason there's so many books is that it's a huge story, and to try and tell it in one 3,000-page book, well, no one's going to want to read a 3,000-page book.
That's exactly what I said. We opened up the show tonight, and we talked about that tonight, and I was like, there's no way that Joseph can talk about that and like all these books, because like you gotta bring that stuff up in every book. because
not
everyone's going to read every book, and it's unfortunate because your books are awesome, but you do have to like touch on that. You have to put that into those books and let people know, because not everyone is going to read all of your books. So
right.
Right. So that's
the books.
Yeah.
The books are Reich of the Black Sun, which is the first book in the Nazi series. That covers the German Nazi atom bomb project. The next book in the series is the SS Brotherhood of the Bell.
Yep.
Then after that, Secrets of the Unified Field. And after that, Philosopher's Stone. And right about the same time, the Nazi International. Then Roswell and the Reich. LBJ and the Conspiracy to Kill Kennedy, and then the most recent book dealing directly with the Nazi secret weapons is Grid of the Gods. That talks about it a bit because there's some stuff going on again with the Nazis in that respect.
Yeah.
So there's lots of books. But the reason I started with the German atom bomb project is so that people would have a context by which to understand everything else the Nazis were doing, because as far as the Nazis were concerned, the atom bomb wasn't really the big thing. So they were after other more destructive things. But in that book, in Reich of the Black Sun, I point out the case that has emerged after German reunification of the possible fact that the Nazi atom bomb project, contrary to what we've been told, may have been successful. Right. And the biggest thing arguing for this is, number one, the Nazi atom bomb, if you study their project carefully, the Nazis were not trying to build a plutonium bomb. They knew that plutonium was possible and that it had to be synthesized in a reactor. They also knew that if they could do so, that plutonium would give them more bang for the Reichsmark, so to speak, than would a uranium-based bomb. But they also knew that the creation of a uranium bomb was a much simpler process and much faster to give them a weapon like that than trying to synthesize plutonium and make a bomb in that way. So when you look at the Nazi atom bomb project, the first thing you have to look at or look for is an extensive uranium isotope enrichment process and facility. And this they most certainly had. In fact, the amount of uranium that they enriched, according to some sources, was in tons. So in other words, you're looking at a massive project that's been hidden from history. Now, when we dropped the little boy bomb on Japan, that was the first bomb, the uranium bomb, we were told that we didn't need to test the bomb because the design was so simple and we simply knew it would work. Well, I've never bought that story because
how did they know that? How did they know that?
Well, the mechanism is rather simple. It doesn't require advanced engineering or anything like that to figure it out. But the problem with not testing the bomb is that Japan, we knew, to have been working on their own atom bomb. And if, for whatever reason, the bomb should fail to fire, then what you've just done is you've dumped a bomb with enough critical mass of fissile uranium right into their lap, which if they were to recover, would possibly be turned right around and used on us.
Yeah.
So the problem,
kind of reverse engineering.
it wouldn't have taken the Japanese knew how to engineer a uranium bomb. The problem was enriching the uranium for the bomb to the levels of purity that was needed. So I over several books have argued, beginning with Reich of the Black Sun and then continuing in Nazi International, that the uranium for the little boy bomb probably came from Nazi Germany, because if you look at our own reports within the Manhattan Project, in December of 1944, the chief metallurgist at Los Alamos, a fellow by the name of Eric Jetta, wrote a memorandum saying that the United States did not have and would not have enough stocks of fissile uranium for a bomb until November of 1945, which of course is long after the little boy bomb was dropped in August 6 of 1945. So the question is, where does this uranium come from? And the answer is, it most likely came from the U.S. capture of a German U-boat, the U-234, in May of 1945. And the reason that's most likely is because 2 weeks after the capture of that U-boat, suspiciously, the stocks of fissile uranium at Oak Ridge double. All right. Now, the U.S. has always denied that any of that uranium came from the German project, but I think given the other contextual circumstances that probably was a lie, that this was German uranium. The other problem that we have with the German atom bomb is on that very same U-boat, we recovered the inventor and his invention, a fellow by the name of Heinz Schlicke, who had invented infrared proximity fuses, which were kind of a handy thing to have if you want to detonate a plutonium bomb, okay? Because when you detonate plutonium, it's a very different, much more precise problem of engineering than uranium. Plutonium requires you to symmetrically compress a plutonium core to supercriticality in under 1/3000th of a second, all right? So in other words, you basically have to have a fusing system that will fire the surrounding plastic explosive of the critical core in that time period, and that technology simply that we had was far too slow. So infrared proximity fuses are a really nifty thing to have around when you're trying to solve that engineering problem, which raises the question of, what was Dr. Schlicke inventing these fuses for? Okay, so, we're back to square one. But it is interesting that Dr. Schlicke, once he was captured on this U-boat, he was given some rather interesting prisoner of war accommodations in this country. He was taken to the Pentagon to debrief American brass as to the nature of his invention, and the fellow that chaired that meeting was a, quote, Mr. Alvarez, unquote, who most likely was the American physicist Luis Alvarez, who, it just so happens, won the Nobel Prize for solving the fusing problem in plutonium bombs. So I think all the indicators are pointing to Nazi Germany.
Perfect sense. Perfect.
Oh, so, okay, so, how about that? What I see here, I'm mentioning about game theory. I'm sorry, music theory.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know your take on this because, as far as relation to all these other topics.
Hey guys, can we take a short break here? Can we take a little quick break here? Is that okay with you, Jeff?
That you're asking me? I'm fine.
We haven't had a break since we started, so we should take a. We should at least take a quick break.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Oh dear.
Anyway, so yeah, we'll take a quick break, and we will be back with Dr. Joseph P. Farrell.
Okay.
Say shit. If this goes.
In South Carolina, all political parties are equal, but some are apparently more equal than others.
I'd rather down my feet to live my life on my knees. I'd rather down my feet to live my life on my knees. I'd rather down my feet to live my life on my knees. I'm just another revolutionary minister society. Down my feet to live my life on my knees. I'd rather down my feet to live my life on my knees. I'd rather down my feet to live my life on my knees. I'm just another revolutionary minister society. Call out the cavalry. I move with a guard faculty, knowledge of wisdom bar. We don't need no casualties. Official time and dog 12 is my family. G through the rays of the sun is pure energy. We move together like the hands on the centipede. Go for the gusto and remember who remember me. Live with the truth even if death is the penalty. Science with a scientist, knowledge of power I rely on quick. Play the game and know the course. I pick the balls with the ball, mix the sauce with the force. Lawyers to the fans like yes my lord. Chop the green and grab some new life to be born. Got the whole club waiting for the lights to go on, so they can throw the first chair and then set the shit off. Right here, right now, my dude, we be clear. We can't tell language, ain't got no fear.
I'ma tell you how it go down in the ghetto. Strictly heavy metals busting, spot rushing, cops come, you know I'm flushing. It's nothing, we knuckle up in parking lots daily. These bitches, they fucking, so I keep them cause they pay me, you crazy. Or should I say just misunderstood? Let me find out, your pedigree ain't hood. I'm a boy in the hood, a menace to society. I'm paid in full with nothing to lose, so don't try me. They lied to me in school, so I learned from the street. Keep my friends and foes close, my hands closer to the heat. Learn with clamor sex talk, so I speak it to my fleet. Teaching, training private soldiers so they prepare for the beat and ready for war to any extent. We come in full equipped to art of war and try to job, so stick to the script. You niggas steady flipping, you switch with that snitching shit. That's why I said the empty clips extort niggas for their chips. Bust down the brick, kill a block with a page on pitch. The streets know the rugged monk ain't never been a bitch.
Die on my feet to live my life on my knees. I'd rather die on my feet to live my life on my knees. I'd rather die on my feet to live my life on my knees. I'm just another revolutionary menace to society. Die on my feet to live my life on my knees. I'd rather die on my feet to live my life on my knees. I'd rather die on my feet to live my life on my knees. I'm just another revolutionary menace to society.
Hey yo, I come back kinda like the tortoise to the rabbit. Please don't reach for the mic, you can't have it. As a matter of fact, it's too hot, you can't grab it. I only question shit cause I done built up a callus. If you niggas really think you done built up a challenge, then step and I'ma knock you off balance. For fucking with the avalanche. Yo, the new branch of raw shit. When the southpaw hit, it'll leave your jaw split. On some, you never see me, you never saw shit. The blind to the fact of how you getting blindsided. It's simply cyanide when these rhymes are provided. Flip a double-sided coin like a double-edged sword. First nigga talk shit, first nigga getting floored. You the pedal to the metal on a Honda Accord. I'm the fifth gear in the Lambo overseas on tour. Nigga catch me on the Autobahn, bitch.
Alright. How about that?
And we're back, so.
Okay.
Good stuff. You got that?
What?
Can you handle that? What?
Kind of choppy now, buddy.
Sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Mark, can you hear me all right?
Oh, yeah. No, Jeff was right. You're breaking up just a little bit, but I think I get you now.
A little bit?
Yeah, it's better. It's better now.
You guys can hear me fine right now, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Yes.
We know we do run into issues sometimes on Bug Talk Radio. You know what goes on. We can't help it. We do what we can.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've run into some issues before, but no, you sound good now.
Okay.
Where did we leave off with Mr. Farrell?
Music theory.
Music theory. Yeah, you did get into that. So, that's an interesting subject you get into right now, there, Jeff.
Well, I think probably what you're talking about is in the first book, and then much later on in the series of books, in Grid of the Gods, but in Giza Death Star, and then in Grid of the Gods, I do talk about music. And the reason why is it's kind of hard to explain. I wish I had an acoustic piano here handy that I could demonstrate what I'm going to talk about for people. But the music that we listen to changed, the tuning system changed rather dramatically.
Yes.
Right around the end of the Renaissance, and then on into the Baroque
we actually
period.
talked about this like a month ago. Yeah, we did.
Well, most people when they talk about it, in my experience, haven't really. They're talking about non-issues like what note is the note A tuned to? Is it A440? Is it A415? Is it A438? Whatever. All of these things are really non-issues because regardless of how you tune the fundamental of an instrument, it's the actual overtone series or harmonic series that emerges from that fundamental that's the problem. If you tune, there's all these people out there that say, well, A440 is wrong, it's horrid, but the problem is if you tune to the other alternative systems, 415 or 438, you're still going to get a frequency of A440 on the keyboard at some point because essentially all you're doing is tuning down about a half step. Right. So, you're still going to hear 440 at some point on the keyboard. The real problem is that in the naturally occurring harmonic series, there is a note that occurs naturally in the system of vibrations that lies, so to speak, between the cracks on our modern piano keyboard, between A natural and B flat. All right, that note in the crack occurs naturally. It does not occur on our instruments because when you tune instruments to the natural harmonic series, it becomes impossible to change keys during a piece. That's why modern music and ancient music sounds so very different to our ears because we're used to music that has been mathematically adjusted where that harmonic has been lost in order to create a system of tuning that you don't have to stop in the middle of a piece and retune it if you decide that you want to change keys in the middle of the piece. That's why.
Right.
Now, what happened in the course of music history is, of course, this system that we now know as the fundamental basis of Western music, be it Bach or the Beatles, is that during the late Renaissance, early Baroque period, the mathematical way of adjusting the system was discovered. Now, interestingly enough, that system had been, I think, in my opinion, outlined very dramatically and correctly by the Pythagoreans way, way back when. So in other words, they knew the secret, essentially, but it took mathematics some time to develop the precise interval to create what we have now in the 12 keys on the chromatic scale on the keyboard. So it was known, but it was a secret. Now, the reason this is significant is because the auditory or the audio harmonic series is a subset of the entire harmonic series, which goes into electromagnetic frequencies and so on. And the same phenomenon is evident there. So what music did, and I hope people understand why this is so very significant, music rather than electromagnetics was the first unification in physics. And the reason why it's the first unification is that by simply mathematically tweaking or adjusting what occurs in Mother Nature, they created a tonal system that allowed us to move from one fundamental or one key to another. So that's the first unification in physics. And it provides a key because what it's suggesting is that the universe is deliberately constructed in such a way as to form a kind of puzzle to be figured out. In other words, it's an intelligently designed universe. However, it's designed with little puzzles or riddles that, if you figure them out, will allow you to do tremendous things. And thus far, physics has not found a way of, so to speak, tuning the keyboard of the entire frequency spectrum, not just auditory, but electromagnetic as the wider set. It has not found a way or the precise mathematical interval that would allow us, so to speak, to change keys, to use the musical analogy. So in other words, what I'm speculating in my various books that do talk about that subject is that they need to find that exact wavelength in order to do this. Now, interestingly enough, there was a physicist, I should say, a very famous one, that was responsible for what's called the hidden variable version of quantum mechanical theory, and his name was David Bohm. And he was a plasma physicist, incidentally, and at some point in his career did classified research for the Brazilian government, and I suspect did it in conjunction with some Nazi scientists there. But David Bohm speculated that there was such an existing frequency, rather like the 12th root of 2, which is the interval that we use to tune the chromatic scale on the keyboard. He speculated that there is such a frequency that would unify the entire harmonic series, no matter what the fundamental was. So, yeah, this is an area of physics that most people don't talk about. They don't even know exists. David Bohm is certainly one of the players in that whole field, and he did even, in fact, offer a calculation. I forget exactly what it was, but he did offer a calculation on what he thought that fundamental frequency might be.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you bring all this up because
you're right, and you bring that up, and I've actually had a couple of conversations with Michael Tallinger, and he's going to be on the show in a few weeks, and we want to get into that with him because he gets into that whole thing, and I'm sure that you're.
So, what is your take on using sound to heal? Because a lot of people they know how the military uses it as a sound weapon, but I mean, I've said this once or twice on the show before that I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for sound.
I think there's definitely something to it. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think there's definitely something to it.
I mean, I literally wouldn't be alive though. I mean, my kidneys were supposed to drop out, and a lady named Sherry, who pioneered in the sound, she actually used sound to save my kidneys, and I was supposed to die about 5-10 years ago.
Jeff definitely makes a very good point, and I'm glad that he actually brought that up at this point. It's a good question.
I do think there's something to it, and here's why. There's two very famous physicians, medical doctors, who experimented in this whole area. One, of course, was Royal Raymond Reich, who designed a microscope that he claimed allowed him to see viruses in their natural living state, and then to observe the effect of various frequencies on them. All right, and he also pioneered the viral idea of the origination of cancer. He was one of the very earliest that promulgated that idea within pathology and oncology. And interestingly enough, his work didn't really get picked up in that sense until the 1960s, when you find people like Mary Sherman, Dr. Mary Sherman, that I talk about, pardon me, in the Kennedy assassination book. Pardon me. She had similar ideas, and of course she ended up very dead by particle accelerator, as a matter of fact. But in any case, Royal Raymond Reich popularized his sonic healing, if you will, and then was, of course, shut down by the medical establishment for fraud and all sorts of nonsensical things. Another physician is not so well known to American audiences, a French doctor by the name of Alain Prioret, and he did similar research in France to what Reich did in the early 1960s, and again, the medical establishment in that country shut him down, but he had similar successful results to Royal Raymond Reich in healing people, and in many cases people with organ damage. So that definitely exists. And then there's a third reason I think that you have to take that whole field very seriously, and that is that in the Soviet Union during the 60s and 70s, they were experimenting with similar things. And in fact, many people know about the claims that the Soviet Union was irradiating the American embassy in Moscow with microwaves and creating cancer, because that embassy had enormously high, extraordinarily anomalous rates of cancer with people that served there. And the Soviet Union, it came out after its collapse, had been doing research in precisely this area of electromagnetic contexts of various diseases. And the claim is made by some people, like Lieutenant Colonel Tom Bearden and some others, that the Soviets were relatively successful in creating both disease induction by electromagnetic means and disease healing by electromagnetic means. So I definitely think there's something to it.
I do too.
I used a Reich machine before, around the same time when I had the kidney problems, and I remember seeing a demonstration of you're talking about frequency and viruses. I saw sound. I saw how a virus actually has a protective coating around it that like tricks the white blood cells into thinking it's natural or whatever. And the sound actually in 7 minutes, it took exactly 7 minutes, and in 7 minutes you could see like the outer shell of the virus vibrating, and it just disintegrated, and then the white blood cells just destroyed that virus like instantly.
Yeah. Well, I do think, as I say, I do think that there's something to it, and obviously such a technology is, in a certain sense, it's relatively simple to engineer. Mm-hmm. And it would be, it would literally be the death of big medicine and big pharma if that were ever released. So I think there's hidden corporate and economic interest behind the suppression of some of that.
I'll tell you a story. I'm probably not supposed to tell this, but I'm going to tell it anyway, because I was told not to, but it doesn't really matter. There's a few stories, but this one's interesting. The lady who actually pioneered in that, she approached someone high up in the military, telling them what she can do is she can hook up every radio station in the country with some sort of adapter that allows these sounds to play over the radio. So if there ever was some sort of huge viral outbreak, all she would have to do is send them the sound, and it could play all over the country, and everybody could heal just by listening to the radio. And the guy was really into it, and he went to a superior, and then when she tried, asking, what's going on? Are we going to go ahead with this? He never got back to her, as though he was scared. And
I doubt it not.
Yeah, and so of course, because it would defeat if there was ever a viral outbreak, the purpose of that viral outbreak is to cull the population, to kill off as many people. It would kind of like counter the whole point of you don't want to heal the population if you're going to try to kill them all.
The backside of that story, I think if there was suppression involved, the backside of the story is that if you can heal by that means, you can induce diseases by that means. You can entrain brainwaves by what's called beat frequencies. Right. You can do a lot of things by that method. And again, to release the technology would be to release a technology that could be used for good or ill. And I think, and I've said this many times, in connection with other things, similar types of technologies, that one of the main reasons the elites do not release all of this stuff is, in my thinking, it's partly altruistic because, again, if you go back to what the Nazis were doing with their Bell Project and some of the other things they were investigating, including that type of electromagnetically induced mind control, that what they're afraid of is that this stuff could be weaponized. And ultimately, when you're playing with the fabric of space-time, you have the potential, I've said this many times, you've had the potential of creating a weapon that would make a hydrogen bomb look like a firecracker. So they've got a real proliferation problem if any of this ever gets out that they've got to take care of and figure out how to release the technology and yet oversee it not falling into the hands of the wrong kind of people. I mean, all we can have to imagine in that respect is if someone like the North Korean leadership ever got their hands on any of this stuff.
Right. I mean, I talk about this sometimes to people about how sound can heal, and it's like such a far stretch for people to grasp, but then again, they have no problem accepting the fact that this sound is being used as weapons. I mean, do they think like this, as far as sound being used for a weapon, what do they think? It's like a high-pitched sound that hurts your ears and makes you fall to the ground? It has nothing to do with that. You don't even have to hear it.
No, exactly.
So how is it so hard to understand that it can also be used to heal?
Well, most people don't have it in their head that this is coming out of the same physics and the same technology that's based on that physics. That's the problem. Once they understand the fact that you're dealing with a unitary phenomenon that can be used for good or ill, then a lot of people have a much easier time of it. But for most people, the sad fact of the matter is that the American educational system is so inept that most people don't really even have enough basic physics even to contemplate or comprehend what we're talking about.
So, what about the idea that they had this technology back with the pyramids and actually before?
Well, when I examine the pyramid, the problem with the Great Pyramid, and please understand, I'm not talking about all pyramids, I'm only talking about the Great Pyramid.
Right.
Because when you compare that structure to the other pyramidal structures around the world, with perhaps the exception of maybe the Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan and possibly the second pyramid there at Giza, the problem with the Great Pyramid is that you're dealing with a structure that has so many dimensional analogs of the geometries of local celestial space built into it that this could not possibly have been the product of a society even as sophisticated as the Egyptians, because the physical knowledge employed in the structure, in my opinion, vastly exceeds what was even known in Egypt. It had to have been the product of a sophisticated scientific culture. And to give you an example, in the Giza trilogy of books, particularly in the first two, I point out that if you take some dimensional measures of the Great Pyramid and convert them to the constants, the coefficients of the constants of quantum mechanics, and take those coefficients, particularly the Planck length and things like that, and convert them to English measure, which are the closest systems of measure to the system of measure of the Great Pyramid. In other words, you're not using centimeters and meters, you're using inches and feet, okay? If you convert the coefficients of the constants of quantum mechanics to English measures and then go back and look at the pyramid, lo and behold, you have those coefficients popping out all over the place. So in other words, whoever built it had some sort of knowledge of quantum mechanics. And that means you're dealing with something that is from a much more sophisticated culture than even Egypt was mathematically. So that to me says that somebody way back when, I don't think the Egyptians built that structure. I think it was there and they just sort of claimed it. I don't think that you are far off in saying that somebody way back when had to have a scientific knowledge at a similar, if not greater, pitch of development than our own.
Right. Sure. That's certainly what I was thinking. I was definitely curious on your take on that.
The whole reverse technology thing with the when we got back into World War II. You're not, nor am I, but like as far as I've read, you're not down with the whole. It's not alien reverse technology. It was the technology was already there, and
I'm not understanding your question.
Well, like so like the whole in the 40s where we thought everything was like reverse technology from the aliens, and the whole thing with the UFOs and anything else, like it wasn't like a.
I think I understand.
Yeah.
I think I understand. Well, let me handle the reverse engineering thing first of all. I get that a lot from people in ufology. Well, couldn't the Nazis have recovered a saucer and reverse engineered it, and that's why they got all their technology. Well, the problem with that argument, I hear it all the time. If you read my books, I take great pains to show or to rationalize what the Nazis were up to, particularly with their Bell Project, on the basis of a hypothetical reconstruction of what the physics was back then that was known, and more importantly, on the basis of engineering papers, which a lot of people don't even bother to look at, but on the basis of engineering papers that were also known at that time. And could they have, on that basis, rationalized the projects the way they did, and how I cover them in my books? And the answer, of course, is yes. So in other words, you don't need crashed flying saucers to reverse engineer something or to come up with radical ideas. I think human ingenuity is sufficient to that task. That said, the other problem with the reverse engineering hypothesis is the assumption that you actually need to recover a UFO to begin the process of reverse engineering it. And the answer is you simply don't need that. You would begin the process of reverse engineering simply by careful observation of selected UFO phenomena. On that basis, begin to propose hypotheses and technologies that might be able to accomplish that. And that was clearly done, incidentally, if you examine the record carefully. So I disagree with that, too. The third problem I have with the reverse engineering hypothesis of explaining everything is it's really a hypothesis or a methodology that doesn't explain anything, because what it does almost all the time I have encountered it in dealing with people in ufology is it becomes a mechanism of explaining something away so that you don't have to rationalize the possible physics behind it. So, they got that by reverse engineering, and they look no further. And that, my answer to that is if ET keeps crashing UFOs on planet Earth so that we can reverse engineer all this stuff, pretty soon we're going to have to start crashing our stuff on their home world so that they can catch back up with us. It's a methodology. It's a methodology that goes nowhere and explains nothing. It doesn't allow you, and it doesn't create the impetus to go out and find the physics papers and the science papers and attempt to rationalize this on the basis of human science. Now, let's go back to the pyramids. If there was a culture that was here and that had a sophisticated scientific knowledge, my guess, and I've always argued this, is that it was some branch of the genus Homo. In other words, it was some human or humanoid-like race that had possibly interfered with our history, possibly even have engineered us into existence. I don't know. And I'm even willing to maintain the hypothesis that it's just humanity, period, that we've got cousins out there somewhere that came here at some point and left us here. But I have no difficulty with it being a human culture that was once extensive throughout this corner of the galaxy, and that for whatever reason was shattered. I have no problem with any of that. I have bigger problems with insectoids and lizards and all the other ET nonsense coming here and doing all of this than I do with humanity.
Recently too. So
oh, it's fun. Come on, it's science fiction. It's fun. I'm just saying, put all the cards on the table. It's worst case scenario, and that was going to be my next question. I mean, so it doesn't really matter what the answer is, because either way, it's going to lead to the same ending. But what do you think is going to happen as far as our downfall? Will it be an economic collapse, a pole shift, an alien invasion, EMP weapon, natural phenomenon, whatever? I mean,
well, I'm not on the financial collapse bandwagon, and I know I'm in a distinct minority there, but the problem with everybody predicting the demise of the dollar as the reserve currency status, what they don't understand, what they don't get, is that reserve currency status is usually reserved to the most powerful naval power in history. It's true of Venice, it's true of Portugal, Spain, France, then the British Empire, and of course us. But now, It's changed significantly in that most international financial clearing is now based on electronic transfer, and that requires satellite capability. In other words, it requires supremacy in space, and right now the United States very clearly is supreme in space. Our closest competitors in that sense would be Europe and the Russians, possibly the Japanese. They all have their own satellite capabilities and could certainly mount an effort at international financial clearing if they wanted to do so. But they would have to challenge the American dominance in space. So I'm not predicting financial collapse. I think we're in slow burn mode, but I don't think the apocalypse doom and gloom schools is quite correct. Now, as for predictive scenarios, I wrote a book some years ago called Cosmic War, Interplanetary Warfare, Modern Physics, and Ancient Texts.
Awesome book.
And, well, thank you. That book is kind of the... I deliberately envisioned that book as being kind of the keystone in the arch of every single other book that I've written.
Right.
Because I think that if you examine the text the way I did in that book, which, again, I have to emphasize is a totally hypothetical way of doing so. If you examine them in that way, however, it is clear that there were genetic cousins involved with our history at some point. And with the UFO phenomenon, I think that it is also clear that the national security establishment or the breakaway civilization or whatever you wish to call it, that they would have entertained as a possibility that those cousins may still be out there somewhere and that they may still have similar capabilities and that we had better prepare for it. But I don't make any prediction beyond that, be it optimistic or pessimistic. I just think that their conclusion would have been we have to prepare in case they're hostile and they're coming back.
Interesting. Okay. So you do give some truth perhaps to the Anunnaki and them coming back and
Oh, certainly.
Okay.
There, in the Cosmic War, I spent a great deal of time examining some Mesopotamian texts, some Ugaritic texts, an Egyptian text called the Edfu Temple texts, and some other things. And if you I don't examine them in the book, but if you throw in some of the Vedic literature on this score, if you throw in Mayan and other Native American traditions into this mix, if you really want to go into it, if you throw in some Oriental mythology into the mix, you clearly get an idea that somebody else was here at some point in our history that interfered not only with human history but with human biology. Then the answer is yes. There's a significant set of texts called, the actual title is Miscellaneous Babylonian Inscriptions. It was published by Professor Barton of Yale University right toward the end of World War I. And if you sit down and if you know Akkadian and Assyrian and look at these texts, it's very clear that the translations that have been out there are good. They're not erroneous, but there are other ways of translating them. But even on the way that academics have translated them, you can argue a case that these texts are referring precisely to such interference. People ask me all the time, what do I think of Zecharia Sitchin? Well, Sitchin's translations are at best wobbly, okay?
Yep.
But
I do agree. I'm a big fan of Sitchin, but I definitely with you on that.
Well, he was the first one to kind of make a quasi-academic case that there was such interference on the basis of texts. I think that you can, and what I did in Cosmic War very deliberately was I stuck to English translations of texts by academics that even with their translations, you can still argue Sitchin's case, and that's one of the reasons I decided to write that book, was there's a certain segment within academics that likes to nitpick and pettifog over inaccurate translations, and therefore we dismiss the whole idea. But I don't think that's I don't think that's the case.
Okay. Wow. So do you think that these beings, before they come back, they're going to want to cull the population and cut it down a notch? And
well, I don't say that they're out there. I don't say that they're coming back. I don't say that there's going to be any great population culling. I'm simply saying that as far as the national security establishment is concerned, they would have, given the nature of the post-war dramatic increase in UFO sightings and activity, that they would have looked by the nature of the case, and as a matter of course, they would have looked at the historical record and tried to evaluate the possibilities from that point of view, and that they would have made the beginnings of preparations for any eventuality. I will say that if you look at those ancient texts, it becomes very clear that some of these people, if you take the hypothesis that these texts are arguing that something real happened, that they're also saying that some of these people, Anunnaki, Nephilim, whatever you wish to call them, aren't very pleasant people.
Right.
Right.
You know, they very glibly talk about, you know, wholesale slaughter of the entire human race. So, again,
we're food to them, cattle, right?
Right. Food, cattle, whatever we were or may be.
Workers.
The national security establishments of the different powers are going to take steps to prepare for any eventuality.
All right. Wow, so we definitely covered a lot of ground, that's for sure. Oh boy, a lot more than I thought. How about that? I can't think of anything else as far as questions go. I mean, Mark, Chris, I'm all tapped out.
Is Mark still with us?
I'm still here.
Mark's
I've been listening.
I haven't heard much from Mark all night, so I was just like, is Mark still with us? I mean
I got a couple questions in there. I've just been listening.
I was gonna say we do have a couple seconds left of the live time, but obviously we have an hour left of the after hours. So yeah, Mark, I know you have questions. I know you have stuff you want to ask. So go for it, man.
Like I said, I pretty much I got my questions in. That was that was it.
That's it. That's all you got, really?
That was it, man. Like I said, I've just been listening. I've been hanging back listening. A lot of this went beyond me. So.
Guarantee that you learned a lot tonight because we didn't have Farrell.
Oh, this is some deep stuff. Yeah, I mean, shit,
Yeah. We, Mr. Farrell can get into it very, very deeply. So.
Yeah,
exactly. So that's why we're really excited to have him on tonight.
You know, there's like one or two listeners out there that have some really good questions, and
you know what? I haven't even looked. At my.
I wish I could channel them, right? Channel their questions somehow.
Yeah. If people called within the past hour, I didn't even look. I wasn't even looking at them. And I was just listening. I was just into this. It's good to have someone on like Mr. Farrell that actually knows the stuff, and it's. We've had Tim Swartz on. You know who Tim Swartz is, Mr. Farrell?
The name is vaguely familiar to me, but other than that, I can't recall where.
We actually, I think the first time I talked to you, I brought up Tim Swartz, and you didn't know who he was. But what is it, guys? You know who was it? Timothy Green, Buckley, or whatever. The conspiracy journals. I know
that name's not familiar to me.
No, okay. Well, Tim Swartz, and they've been on Coast to Coast a lot. So I kind of thought Tim Swartz has actually been on Ancient Aliens. We've had him on a few times.
I don't really listen to Coast to Coast that much, so the name's not recognizable to me.
Good for you, yes.
That's great, because we had this conversation with Tim Swartz, and Tim Swartz has been on Coast to Coast a few times, but he's been on Ancient Aliens a few times, and we kind of gave him crap the first time that he came on, and we kind of felt bad because the whole thing with Tim Swartz is he gives a whole different perspective to the whole Ancient Aliens thing, and that's why they kind of cut him out of the whole thing, because he's given a whole different opinion, and they don't want any of that. And Tim's a really good guy, and he gives a very good perspective towards things, really relating to your stuff, Joseph. And actually, just look up Tim Swartz. He's wrote a lot of books and everything, and I'm surprised you haven't heard of Tim Swartz. But but between you and Hoagland, and obviously you and Jim Mars and Richard Hoagland are like my favorite three people. Those are like I'm sitting here looking at Dark Mission, and it's one of my favorite books, and I've read it 3 times, and I'm on my third read. And and I love that, like George Norrie has you on with Richard Hoagland. I think it's the perfect match. I love that they get you guys both on, and obviously you're we know that you're familiar with Richard Hoagland. You guys have talked a lot, and I don't know, man. That's like my 2 top guys are Richard Hoagland and you. So, I mean, you're my 2 top guys, and
well, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And like my favorite authors, and I've read like thousands of books, but I love reading anything that has anything to do with Richard Hoagland and Joseph Farrell. And I haven't read all your books, and I'm definitely trying to read them all, but I just don't have the time to read everyone's books. I still have guests sending me books, and I'm trying to read them, and I'm doing my best to read them and everything, but without people sending me books and stuff, I'm still on the whole Richard Hoagland and Joseph Farrell thing, and I think I have 4 or 5 more books to read that you've wrote, but you've wrote a lot of books, so
yeah.
How many books have you read? Written about 20 or 20 books.
Right now it's 21.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. and you're on actually, what is it? Like I was explaining in the first hour, you've done a lot of books, but you've kind of covered a lot of stuff in your books, but what we were talking about tonight, you're going to get into the 4th book, right?
Right now I'm writing a book which is kind of a sequel to the last book that came out, which is Financial Vipers of Venice. Okay. This is kind of I don't know what you call it, kind of a conspiracy theorist's view of the Middle Ages, so it's unusual, but
neat.
No, but people should read them, because that's how I feel, because I try to point people in your direction of the books, because I totally appreciate, like I was saying to Mark earlier, you're one of the best people at connecting the dots, and you take everything and you do, and you put everything together, and that's what I appreciate. I mean, that's not the only thing I appreciate, but so one of the big things that I appreciate is that you take all the dots, you take everything, you put it together, and like I was saying to Mark earlier, I was like, well, you might read one of his books, and you might see some stuff in there, or read some stuff in there that has, that's talking about another subject, but you have to, because you can't expect everyone to just go into that book and know everything about that subject. You actually have to get into that, and I don't know, I love it, man. I can sit there and I read every one of your books that I get, and I'm like, okay, well, there's some similar stuff in the books, but I still like reading about it. I mean, I have no issues about that. I mean, you have to like cover that, because there's people that are going to be like, if they just like get into your reading and they're like, oh, okay, I'm going to read this book, and they're like, oh, well, I don't know what he's talking about, but you get that. That's what I like about it, because you get into it with your books and you talk about everything. So you might just only, like, I think it was the Covert Wars one where you got into the last chapter and you only got into a little bit of it. It was like 7 or 8 pages or whatever that you got into that subject, but you still get into everything. And I mean, people can't expect you to get into like everything in one book. I mean,
right.
I don't know if that made any sense what I just said, but
oh yeah.
But I'm just trying to say, like, I mean, I respect that, and I don't know, man, I like your writing style, and I'm happy to read your books and to mesh them together with like Richard Hoagland. I love Richard Hoagland. I've had like lots of good conversations with Mr. Hoagland, and I hope to get him on the show sometime. But yeah, it's kind of cool, man. I just like put that with Richard Hoagland, you, and Tim Swartz, and it's an honor, man. It really is, just to talk to all three of you. And I remember maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I was like, well, I'm reading all these books, and I would love to sit there and pick, like I told Mark at the beginning of the show. I'm like, I would love to sit there and pick like Richard Hoagland's brain and your brain, and and there's a couple other guys' brains that I'd like to pick, but it's cool to have the opportunity to get you on the show and to actually have these conversations. And I'm glad that my 2 co-hosts can get into this, and it is. We appreciate it. We
absolutely.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yes,
for
sir.
real, we really do. We appreciate having you on. We appreciate you having the time to come on. And
my pleasure.
We definitely hope to get you on again. You have so many books that we could talk about, and like I said, there's a lot of subjects that you cover, and that's the thing. Like, out of everyone, you cover more subjects than anyone that I know. So I mean, I don't know, man. I've learned a lot from you, So I just want to tell you that I respect that.
Clarified a lot of questions a lot of thoughts I've had, so that's good.
Yeah,
sure.
We have plenty of other questions to ask you, but we're not going to keep you on for 5 hours.
I'd love to get you in the same room with some of the people I'm close to.
yeah, for sure, because
Wow.
So I mean, it's a cool thing. So
indeed.
I don't know. I just thought I'd throw that out there. Thought you guys might appreciate that.
Yes.
But anyway, so yeah, we're gonna wrap up the show here. But Joseph, thank you for coming on. It's an honor.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
Awesome, guys.
Nice.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow, yeah. No kidding.
Intense.
Awesomeness.
No,
yeah.
Great. Yeah, man.
That shit's right up my alley. Yeah. that was like Disney World for me.
Yeah. It is. It really is. It's I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm not gonna sit here and keep repeating myself, but look. I know a lot of people that listen tonight learned a lot of stuff. So.
Oh Jesus, yes.
And I was
absolutely
take more breaks than that, but I don't know, man. That was a good conversation.
Yes, it was.
I hope people learn.
Say shit. If this gonna be that kind of party, I'm gonna stick my dick in the mashed potato.
All right.
So
are we ending the show early tonight, or are we gonna keep going?
I don't know what you're talking about.
What?
right. Shouldn't be too hard to get ourselves kicked out.
Right. We've just got to convince them we're not army material. Ready?
All right, let's do it.
Wow, look at how gay we are. I am so gay with my gayness.
Me too. I'm a homo.
Any room for one more? Hell yeah! All right, last resort. We get injured and go home with Purple Hearts. Shoot me in the foot.
What? Shoot yourself in the foot?
No, they can tell by the angle. Here, you shoot me and I'll shoot you.
I don't think this is going to work.
Of course it'll work. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, damn it! Oh, my God, that hurts! I think you missed me.
All right, I'll try again.
No. Hang on. That looks like it's painful.
Of course it's painful. There's a bullet in my foot. Now get over here.
No. I changed my mind. I don't want to do it.
Come on, we had a deal.
No. Don't point that at me. No. Come on. This is flat out just not safe. Ow. Oh, you got me. Ow.
Let me see.
No, it's gross.
Let me see it.
No, I don't want to gross you out. Ow. Oh, we are in so much pain right now, the two of us. Oh, ow. Okay, that was real. Hey, hi, I'm Private Stewie, and this is Private Brian. We both got shot in the foot, so we figured an honorable discharge would be in order, and you could just send us back to...
Say, shit, if this gonna be that kind of party, I'm gonna stick my dick in the mashed potatoes.
Know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
I almost joined the Navy,
Hard
dude.
I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's
Navy?
ever been. There's no one
man.
can stop me. Lynx is a conqueror. No,
Yeah.
I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the
Right
best
before
ever.
9/11,
There's never
too.
been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny
I
Liston.
see.
I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw.
And,
There's no one that can match
why?
me. My
One
style
of the
is
reasons I did.
impetuous. My
One of the
defense
main
is
reasons.
impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah.
All right. I don't know what the fuck. Okay. Yeah, I
You
was
want
like...
to eat your children. So you ever voice your opinion in front of Mike Tyson again, he will fucking eat your fucking children.
I told him I'll only join if I can be exempt from having to get vaccinations. And he's like, no, I can't do it. I was like, come on, dude. I will join if I can, you know.
Well, I know it, but I don't think I should say it. 5 seconds, Mr. Marsh. All right, I'd like to solve the puzzle. Niggers!
All right.
Huh?
Not with that again.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Oh. Ooh. Oh, naggers.
Naggers. Oh, of course.
Can we cut
Oh,
to,
shit.
can we cut to a...
All right. No more.
Crazy, man. You sound insane. You realize that?
I don't think it's going to work, buddy.
No.
Naggers.
Oh, that's terrible. Naggers.
Remember it. Write it down. Take a picture. I don't give a fuck.
You fuckers.
Oh, man, you having fun?
In fun? In fun or have fun or fun?
No.
Or
have fun.
Shit fun.
Are you guys tired? Aren't you guys tired?
Huh?
No one's tired. Except
Talk
me.
about a wake-up call. I was paying for all the doctor's visits, insurance premiums, and medical costs out of pocket. All these expenses were keeping me from living the carefree lifestyle that I
Can't be
wanted.
tired of this.
Then the government told me about Obamacare.
How could you be tired of it?
No, I don't know, man.
Seriously.
Only 11:15 at night.
Now with Obamacare, I don't
What do
worry
you
about
have
my health
going on?
I eat whatever I want,
Well, I'm the
whenever
only
I
one
want.
that doesn't have
I
access
get
to
all my
weed right
prescription
now.
drugs for free, and there's no more
I don't have
coverage
access to
gap.
weed right now.
I no longer need to worry about pre-existing conditions. We can see any doctor
See, that just sucks.
whenever we want for any reason, and so can everyone else.
Obamacare is not for everyone, like congressmen. If you are already healthy, do not use Obamacare, as you will see your premiums go up. If you are a sick person, do not use Obamacare, as you will see your premiums go up. Many people on Obamacare may experience longer wait times and fewer doctors, and denial of your treatment of choice. If you are faced with a healthcare situation, you may be denied treatment through government rationing.
Obamacare even covers my kids up to age 26.
If you experience a recession lasting more than 4 years, stop taking Obamacare and contact a travel agent to move to the Bahamas or New Zealand.
And the best thing is that Obamacare is free.
Obamacare is not free. Obamacare will increase the national debt by $863 billion in 10 years. Your taxes will go up $569 billion by 2019. If you see a major jump in your premiums, you should opt out of Obamacare immediately. Opting out of Obamacare is illegal and will incur major fines and penalties unless you are a union member who received a special waiver from the Obama administration. Obama is not responsible for the negative effects on the economy, your pocketbook, your freedoms, or your health.
Remember it. Write it down. Take a picture. I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
Remember it. Write it down. Take a picture. I don't give a fuck. Remember it. Write it down. Take a picture. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
No, you better not give a fuck.
Alright.
I don't give a fuck.
So yeah, hey, Star Wars 7 is coming out. I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
Been a guest since I've been here. That Clarence Thomas hearings, that was, I guess you watched that. Unbelievable, really, to me.
What was that from?
Hello, I'm Bill Hicks, and I'm standing at the...
No, it sounded familiar.
Oh, man, every time I take your head, I fucking fall.
A long, long time ago, I can still remember how their protests used to make me smile. 'Cause I knew we could ram it through before they ever had a clue. Then maybe they'd shut up for a while. But the protests grew and made me shiver. Pelosi and Reid could not deliver. Now our push for health care would have to wait till September, October, or next year. I can't remember if I cried when I heard the right organized, but something told me deep inside that day national health care died. So I lied at every town hall in sight, drove my Chevy across the country trying to put up a fight. But them good old boys were standing right there outside, saying this'll be the day that it dies. This'll be the day Obamacare dies. Well, we were gonna run it all on our own, but congressmen and senators were getting stoned back home. That's not how it was supposed to be. We used to be treated like the king and queen, and the sweater she borrowed from L.L. Bean, and my voice could part the stormy sea. But now every time I hit the stage, bigger crowds appear in fits of rage. Somewhere down in hell is where my numbers fell. I was blown away by Barb and Buck and the redneck neighbors with their pickup trucks. But I knew I was out of luck the day that health care died. Chevy across the country trying to put up a fight. Them good old boys were standing right there outside saying, this'll be the day that it dies. This'll be the day Obamacare dies. Even though I lighted every town hall in sight, drove my Chevy across the country trying to put up a fight. Them good old boys were standing right there outside saying, this'll be the day that it dies. This'll be the day Obamacare dies. Would you be interested in a healthcare co-op? All right.
You fucking crazy, man. You sound insane. Do you realize that? You should be medic.
You sound insane.
All right, you guys. I'm clocking out for the night.
Man.
It's been a good show.
What?
I'm tired. I'm not going. I'm not hanging.
Not hanging. You pussy.
I understand. Jeff's been sleeping all day, so he's got to catch up on more sleep.
Yeah, that's it.
Like 30 hours of sleep a day.
30 hours of sleep a day. Is that what he's up to?
Probably.
It's that beauty sleep. You need that
well,
beauty
exactly.
sleep.
I mean, you've seen this noggin. You should know what goes into that.
Apparently, a whole lot of sleep.
Apparently, I could throw a bunch of dog shit and that shit and still keep going, so I don't know what your problem is.
All right. Well,
doop.
I don't have any medicine, so... Yeah. Close the show tonight. You told the guest that we were done for the night.
Yeah, I know, but done, done. I don't want to involve him in the after hours.
No.
Maybe he might have enjoyed it.
He probably
never know.
He seems cool like that. Yeah.
Right.
I didn't want to push that.
Man, maybe me and him could have talked about weed or something I understood.
Oh boy. All right.
He had me so fucking lost.
All right, ladies, I'm going to sleep.
What?
Seriously, Jeff, you're disappointing us.
Did he just call himself a lady?
Disappointing.
All right.
Sorry I'm being so negative.
You know.
I'm a bummer. I don't know. I shouldn't be. I'm a very, lucky guy. I got a lot going for me. I'm healthy. I'm relatively young. I'm white, which thank God for that shit, boy. That is a huge leg up. Are you kidding me? Oh, God, I love being white. I really do. Seriously, if you're not white, you're missing out, because this shit is thoroughly good. But let me be clear, by the way. I'm not saying that white people are better. I'm saying that being white is clearly better. Who could even argue? If it was an option, I would re-up every year. Oh, yeah, I'll take white again. Absolutely. I've been enjoying that. I'm going to stick with white. Thank you. Here's how great it is to be white. I could get in a time machine and go to any time, and it would be fucking awesome when I get there. That is exclusively a white privilege. Black people can't fuck with time machines. A black guy in a time machine is like, hey, anything before 1980? No, thank you. I don't want to go. But I can go to any time. The year 2? I don't even know what's happening then. But I know when I get there, welcome, we have a table right here for you, sir. Oh, thank you. Oh, it's lovely here in the year 2. I can go to any time. In the past. I don't want to go to the future and find out what happens to white people, because we're going to pay hard for this shit. You got to know that. We're not going to just fall from number 1 to 2. They're going to hold us down and fuck us in the ass forever. And we totally deserve it. But for now, whee! Now, if you're white and you don't admit that it's great, you're an asshole. It is great. And I'm a man. How many advantages could one person have? I'm a white man. You can't even hurt my feelings.
What can you really call a white man that really digs deep? Hey, cracker. Oh, ruined my day. Boy, shouldn't have called me a cracker. Bringing me back to owning land and people. What a drag.
Ruin my day. Ruin my day. You fucking asshole. You ruin my day. You ruin my day.
Audience, keep quiet, please.
Because you're a cracker.
10 seconds, Mr. Marsh. Well, I know it, but I don't think I should say it. 5 seconds, Mr. Marsh. All right, I'd like to solve the puzzle. Niggers!
Cracker. Ooh, that was close.
Huh?
That was close. You almost said naggers. But you said niggers.
No, I said crackers.
Ooh, crackers, niggers.
Naggers, of course. Naggers. Right. Can we cut to a...
Face palm.
What? Cracker?
Face palm.
For sure.
Fucking crazy, man. You sound insane. Do you realize that? You should be medic.
No, that was Will Farrell.
Uh-oh, retard alert. Retard alert, class. Do you believe in a flying spaghetti monster too, bubblehead?
I wasn't talking about spaghetti.
Come on, you. You're going to have to sit in the dunce chair.
I'm trying to think what movie that was from.
All right, let's see if this one works. Fucking there's a flag in the back.
I have no
That's
idea.
it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Put that on loud. That's it. You gotta hear this in your head and in your fucking heart, you fucking cocksuckers. Get up, you fuck. It's Wednesday. If I hear about Obamacare one more fucking time, I'm gonna stab somebody. When was the last time you bought fucking insurance from a black guy? Get your shit together. Well, the webpage don't work. Let me tell you something. If you were looking for fucking porn, you'd fucking find it. Leave the poor fucking black guy alone. He's got enough fucking problems, all right? He fucked up. He fucked up. What, you never fucked up? You know who fucked up? You for counting on a black guy to get you fucking insurance. That's who fucked up. Get up, salute the flag. You want insurance? Go to the hospital and light it on fucking fire. Next time you come back, they'll take care of your 18 fucking stitches and the cancer you got in your asshole. I'm sick and tired of hearing about Obamacare. The holidays are coming. Get up, be an American and stop crying. That's what being an American means when you turn it backwards. Stop fucking crying. Get up, salute the flag, and get your dick sucked. That's what Americans do. I love you. Stay black. Have a great week. Fucking salute you, motherfucker. God damn it. I let my emotions get the best of me. Fucking buying fucking insurance from black people. You get what you deserve, you dumb fucks.
You get what you deserve, you dumb fucks. And you know what? When Joey comes on the show, I will personally make sure he fucking just makes so much fun of Jeff. Jeff's gonna like, he's gonna like tie a rope around his neck and just fucking hang himself.
Are you serious? You think I give a fuck what people say?
Not really, but
I might join in.
Might join in on killing yourself.
That's probably not gonna happen, Chris. I'm pretty certain you'd be more likely to go first, buddy.
Really? I don't know
Down that
about
road. Yeah. Pretty sure.
Wow.
Mark. What do you think, Mark?
Jesus, I really don't know.
He doesn't have to live with me, man. He's got to live with you. You want a true, unbiased. Take a poll. Take an online poll.
I have to. Oh. Well, I don't live with him yet, so.
So
even then. Oh, that's funny.
Trust me. Don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with me.
Don't fuck with you.
I will fucking kill you. I will kill you. I will fucking make other people kill you.
That's so
I don't
funny.
even have to do it, man. I can make other people fucking kill you.
That's cute.
Try me. Test me, motherfucker. Do it. Just do it. Just do it. Do it.
Watch this. Jeff
Do
will,
it.
Jeff
I
will
don't hear anybody do anything.
Jeff will be like one of those bankers tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. 13th banker right here. 13th fucking fucking slaughtered. Fucking hung up by fucking Mark and Chris. Fucking just slaughtered that fucking murdered his ass too. Number 13 right there.
You and your
we'll
fantasies.
Fucking do it. Fucking dead ass motherfucker, dude. We murdered
It's cool,
you.
dude. As long as you're not
done. You're fucking
as long
done.
as you're not
done.
beating your meat right.
Hey, what are you talking, man? You're done. You are fucking done.
Oh shit. Just, oh man.
Yeah,
on the radio.
On the radio.
You told Jeff you were gonna kill him. You told him you were gonna gut him.
I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna fucking get him.
You were gonna gut him. You're gonna gut him like
that. Okay, now you're going a little too far. Now you're talking the Mainer shit where we're gonna gut some motherfuckers and like rip their intestines. Yeah, that's fucked up, man.
Right.
You got to let everyone know what we do up here in Maine, dude.
Right. Well, it's the way we do
I
it.
was just kidding. You had to bring up the whole gutting people and
you were messing. Oh. Right, well, me too, obviously. Just messing, Jeff. We like you.
Now, what do I have to live up to it? I have to murder someone now to live up to that shit? You want to make me? I got to murder Jeff just to like do this, man.
Jeff, have you ever been gutted?
Jeff, have you ever been murdered? Have you ever been in this situation before, Jeff?
Probably, yeah. Not on the radio, though, sure.
Oh, shoot. Well,
dumb ass motherfuckers, dude. Killing people. Oh, geez, that's bad.
Can't be any different than, hanging a deer, pig, or whatever. Same idea.
A fucking deer. Are you hanging a fucking deer? You hanging the deer this fucking year?
So when is Diaz going to be on the show?
Maybe 3 or 4 in a Jeff.
3 or 4 deers?
I'm looking forward to hearing this. To hearing I'm trying to break my balls. I don't care. I'm going to bring up aliens and shit. I'm sure he's going to want to make fun of me. That's cool. That's why I'm here. I'm the doormat.
I'll talk about aliens and shit. I mean, whatever. UFOs and stuff,
Fuck's a UFO, man. UFOs? I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Actually, I had some UFO stuff I wanted to talk about. We'll talk about it Friday.
Reptilians and lizards and praying mantis aliens and Pleiadians.
Yeah, I'll talk about reptilians and shit, but, unless you guys are reptilians, then we can talk about it.
No, I'm honestly not.
We need to have like a real legit reptilian on the show.
I know, that's what we said that. Absolutely. Somebody that can tell us what the deal, what it's about.
No, you're gonna have to go deeper than Alex Jones. He's not gonna do it.
No.
He's gonna make fun of people, talk about reptilians and shit. You gotta get like David Icke on.
Yeah. So even he's a fucking
Jesus Christ.
You gotta get, if you can, sure, get him on. Do you know who he is?
Do I what?
He's got to be. You said Jesus Christ. I mean, is he back? I mean, is he reincarnated or something? Where?
I
get
don't
him
know,
on.
man. I don't know if David Icke would dare to come on the show, to be honest.
Oh, that's right. No, not in a million years.
I don't think he would come on to this show, dude. I really
that's
don't.
like that's like Mark Dice becoming.
One of our shows, he might be like.
That's like Mark Dice coming on and being a co-host.
Yeah, that would be like Mark Dice coming on, like we would. Just
and being a co-host, yeah, a regular.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't even see him coming on.
I saw one of his recent videos. He appears to be on my side when it comes to being against anarchy, and he's going to put out a video. I'm willing. I am willing to hear him out as far as anarchy goes.
Oh, dude, I'm willing to hear anybody out, but I'm still saying fuck Mark Dice, you know.
Yeah.
I'll hear Mark Dice out, but I've heard Mark Dice out too many times, so Mr. Christian
I don't know, man. I'm not completely settled if he is or isn't a shill yet. I think he just needs to be scolded a few times and he'll get his shit together.
Oh,
I hope.
He's religious, so.
I like Mark Dice.
He's working for the Vatican with Thomas Woods.
Yeah.
I'm not buying that everybody's a fucking shill. Not everybody.
Then who is, though? Who is, though?
My name's Elton Bork, man. And
I think you are, Jeff.
Are you seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Major mind job, Jeff Giles, fucking shill, government plant.
So am I the only one who's with me?
No, it's just you, solo.
Just me. Oh.
Yeah.
I am the network. I am the
No,
whole
man.
network.
You know, honestly, I have no idea who. Obviously, I don't think you're a fucking government shill. Obviously.
What, who?
But I mean, the truth of it is, I don't know, man. I take, you know, bits and pieces out of, you know, whatever, anybody.
It's a weird fucking topic, dude. It is.
Oh, yeah. Who knows?
It's hard out. I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lynx is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah.
Thank you.
Did he say he's impregnated?
Children.
He said he wants impregnated children or something. I don't know. And
yeah, wants to eat your children. But I think before that he said he's impregnated.
That's it. I am already contacting Mike Tyson, and I'm going to get him on the show, and he's going to talk to Jeff.
Yes.
Mike Tyson?
He's going to sell me on Allah.
Yes.
Yes.
Say, shit, if this gonna be that kind of party, I'm gonna stick my dick in the mashed potatoes.
Wow. Is Mike Tyson still alive?
Yeah, man.
Crazy man.
Of course.
You sound insane. Do you realize that?
He is. He's fucking weird, dude. He was hit in the head like one too many times.
Fuck you, man. Mike Tyson's a man, dude.
No, he used to be the man, dude. He's fucking weird.
I like him.
I used to like Tyson quite a bit, dude. The guy's fucking weird. No, he really is, man.
No shit.
Like, he's fucking...
Alright,
he's
so,
a fruit.
you get,
fucking fruity.
Mike Tyson's contact here. I'm going to get him on the show.
That's fine, man. You know what I mean? I'll tell him. I'll tell him.
I'm
you know?
already doing it.
I used to love. I used to love him. Tell him.
Shut the fuck up. Yep.
No. Tell him I used to love him, but now he's a fucking Fruit Loop.
We should all be in the same room when this happens. I'd like to see this.
Nope.
I hope you fuckers have my back when he starts fucking swinging.
I'm definitely calling Mike Tyson. So. Yep, dude. Hey, everyone hears it. Tonight, I'm going to get Mike Tyson on the show within 2 months.
Dude, call him right now. Call him.
Be like,
Mike Tyson.
Be like, I'm
Mike
just going to,
Tyson.
Eat all that.
I'll be like, listen, you sound like a bitch.
Mike Tyson. Yo, bitch.
I'll say, quit sounding like a bitch. Talk like a man. You little bitch. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, you guys should just shut the fuck up right now.
I'm not talking on Mike Tyson. I'm talking shit on him. He's got a funny voice.
10 of you. Actually, I put like 20. I put 10 of Jeff and 10 of Mark in a ring, and Mike Tyson would fucking destroy both of you.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
So I'm actually definitely contacting Mike Tyson right now.
Good.
I think 5 of me could take him. 6 of us,
nope,
if we're aggressive.
You need to shut the fuck up, because it's down, dude.
We can't let him go one at a time. It's got to be all at once.
No, you know what, dude? It's Mike Tyson, so if you even interrupt him, he's going to knock you the fuck out, bitch. You let him talk, dude, because if you want to be like, no, you shut the fuck up, dude.
I take it. I don't think 5 of me could take him.
Your address. Send that fucking bastard right to your house.
I guarantee me with one firearm can take him, so no big deal.
Oh, well, fucking shut the fuck up.
I'll say quit talking like a bitch, and then I'll shoot him.
I almost fell out of my chair right here. I literally almost just fell out of my chair right here. Knocked my keyboard over and everything, so I didn't do it. So.
Stop.
Fucking
Holy shit.
That's funny.
Just wait till I'm
Still not as much of a bitch as Chuck Norris, though. Chuck Norris is a bigger bitch.
Do we get Chuck Norris on the show, too?
Fuck him, too. Little bitch.
Oh, shit. All right, so Mike Tyson.
Pussy. Don't forget that.
Okay, so I got his contact.
No, like I said, no. In all reality, I used to love Mike Tyson. He was the man. And then I don't know, man. Like throughout the years, he just like, he got knocked out, and then he just come back, and it was all like fucking, I don't know, biting guys' ears off and getting tattoos on his face.
Ear off and shit. But you know what? Whatever, dude. It's Mike Tyson, dude. I'm sending him a message, dude. I got.
No, I actually believe you are. I 100% believe that. I know you are.
You should. You know that I can get a hold of you.
No, I know you are. Next thing I know, I'm going to be in a ring with Mike Tyson.
Right now, I am unfriending my first person in a long time. The asshole posts he says, cruel animal fight, not for the squeamish. It's a chicken against a cat. I don't even fucking care, dude. Fucking psychopaths, son of a bitch.
That's not. I like the people fights, like knockouts.
Yeah, that's cool.
There's two people.
Pretty sure if I got Mike Tyson on the show, fucking Jeff would be like shitting and pissing in his pants at the same time.
No, he doesn't know. He doesn't know where I live. What the fuck, dude? I like Mike Tyson. I wouldn't talk shit on him. He's kind of funny.
Mike Tyson.
What am I gonna say?
Man.
I like him. He was good in those movies too. Whatchamacallit movies? The ones where the movies, the comedies. Nick Kazafakis, the other dude. Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah.
I don't know.
Him and his tiger. That's fucking hilarious.
The tiger, man. He got the fucking tiger, man.
Little bitch.
Right here, man. I got it right here, dude. I'm fucking getting at him. I'm gonna be like, Mark and fucking Jeff think you're a pussy. They want to fight you.
You're a little bitch.
I ain't fucking around, man. You guys, you just wait.
No, I know you're not.
Yo, Mike Tyson's coming on next Wednesday.
Yo, I know. Oh yeah, I know. I absolutely know this too.
Fucking serious? Seriously, like, don't do that, because he will come on, and I don't want to say that.
He will.
Don't push me. Don't fucking push me.
I have a connect.
Then I'll have to stand my ground and tell him that I called him a little bitch.
I got a friend who's friends with Mike Tyson. I could, I'm not going to do that.
Hold on. Let me find Buster Douglas's.
If you want to lie to the guy,
whoa! I didn't say nothing about Buster.
If you want to lie to the guy, go for it.
I'll just send Buster Douglas's email to Jeff. We'll see how that works out. You got knocked the fuck out, bitch.
Oh, that's awesome. Jeff, aren't you glad you stayed?
I couldn't, man. I was tired, but the fucking laughs keep me awake. Whatever.
Dude. How could you even go?
Because you give me a break, dude. It's fucking 11 o'clock.
Well, I was supposed to take more breaks, but, we got pretty that shit, so.
You get no breaks. No breaks for you.
No, we don't need breaks.
Fuck no. No.
What's trending? Anything interesting?
I get some stuff, but I want to save it for Friday.
No.
I get some good stuff.
A bunch of sports bullshit. Knicks down, Pacers behind. Who the fuck cares about that?
Yeah, about the time that we start talking about sports, I quit.
Yeah, thank you.
No. I'm not, sports is fine, but not on this show.
There's nothing interesting about trending. I don't see anything trending interesting. Bunch of crap.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
J.R.R. Tolkien translation of Beowulf to be published after 90-year wait. There you go. I'm not interested, though, but some people might be.
No, not even a little bit.
No.
I get some UFO stuff, but like I said, I want to save that one for Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. I get some stuff that Chris sent me too, but yeah.
Giant UFO approaches International Space Station. Captured off.
There's a bunch, like a ton of sightings lately.
I don't know. Yeah.
Like a ton of shit's been going on.
I haven't been out my hot tub, so I can't tell you. I haven't seen anything. But, whatever. I haven't seen really anything out in years anyway. Literally.
Well, I personally haven't, but I've been seeing a lot of stuff lately. People have been seeing a lot of stuff, so.
I just haven't been paying attention. I don't give a fuck anymore is what it is.
You gotta give a fuck.
I mean, I'm not looking for UFOs. That shit was when I was a kid.
No, I'm not looking for them. Sometimes they just put them, sometimes they're just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. When I saw most of the shit I saw, I was living at on a vortex, energy vortex. So I saw a bunch of shit there like every night. Seeing stuff nearly every night. Yeah, pretty much. Some crazy whack shit. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, right.
I'm looking at some news. Oh yeah. This fucking Ohio kid expelled, arrested, spent 13 days in jail.
Shit. If this gonna be that kind of party, I'm gonna stick my dick in the mashed potato.
Yeah, it's good. Kid's a fucking dumbass. I don't care, because he's all like Stockholm syndrome. That's what I see when I see this kid. He wants to be an EMT, firefighter, cop, or whatever. The state is his, he's a slave to that shit. They could rape him in the butt and he would still love him. Some people are just screwed. Seriously, dude. Some people, there's no hope.
No, you're right. You're right about that.
Yeah, it's like a king getting his way with a fucking peasant. That's disgusting.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, shit. Alright. Nah, I'm kind of with you now. I'm about done.
Yeah. Okay, good. Me too.
Better be.
Yes.
Better be. Now.
Huh? What?
Better
Calm
be
down.
done now. You're all
Calm down.
You're done.
Uh-oh, retard alert! Retard alert, class! Do you believe in a flying spaghetti monster too, Bubblehead?
I wasn't talking about spaghetti.
There it is.
Come on, you. You're going to have to sit in the dunce chair.
This is my Wednesday night.
I was waiting for that. You wait till Friday night. Oh, Friday night.
Oh, man. Don't fucking remind me, please.
Oh, no. What do you mean?
Who's our guest Friday night?
He's fucking awesome.
Hello, I'm Bill Hicks, and I'm standing at the foot of one of the halls of justice in our great country. when the producers of this video asked me to discuss my opinions on the George Bush administration, I was struck by the very cynical thought, what is the fucking point? People still love Ronald Reagan. After 8 years of lies and hypocrisy, people love this guy. Leads me to a very disturbing question. How far up your ass does this guy's dick have to be before you realize he's fucking you? People are just, I like Ronald Reagan. He looks good on TV. He made the country stronger. Patriotism's at an all-time high. Hold on a minute, something's slapping my ass. Hey, he's fucking us. What's the point of George Bush? Reagan light. No one cared that he was the ex-head of the CIA, now elected president. The CIA, political assassinations, overthrowing governments, death squads, drug running. Let's give them more power. Let's put them in the White House. No one cares that George Bush's first 2 executive decisions were to name a vice president who's whiter than Arsenio Hall. I guess you could commission Ted Turner to colorize Dan Quayle later. Bush's second decision was to name a Secretary of Defense who would have begun every unilateral arms agreement talk with, "Hi, I'm John and I'm an alcoholic." Now, people love him. What is the point? People are already saying, I like George Bush. He looks good on TV. He brought back family values. He's fighting the war on drugs. Wait a minute. Something's slapping my ass. Hey, he's fucking us.
Hey, he's fucking us.
No.
What?
Mr. Bullhead.
That was how long ago, man?
Ahead of his time.
25 years ago, probably. 20, 25.
Dude is a fucking prophet.
Yes, he was.
Mm-hmm.
He knew what was up.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
I see your message there, Mark.
Wrap it the fuck up.
What?
Anyway, so yeah, we got like 5 minutes left, so we'll just we'll end this on a song that can play, that I can cut out at the end. Easy to cut shit off at the end.
All right.
Anyway, guys, great night, great guest.
Good show.
Good show.
Great night.
All right.
That's
All right,
it.
guys.
After hours.
Peace
Y'all,
out.
it's my ass. Peace out. Peace, whatever.
Yep.
That's how I roll. That's how I roll, motherfuckers. Tattooed gun on my fucking belt buckle.
That's right, nigga.
Get off at Norwalk, Maine, motherfuckers.
Word.
Yeah.
Peace out, motherfuckers. Have a good night.
Word.
I was going to go easy on you, not to hurt your feelings, but
I'm only going to get this one chance. Something's wrong. I can feel it.
it's just a feeling I've got. Like something's about to happen, but I don't know what. If that means what I think it means, we're in trouble. Big trouble. And if he is bananas, as you say, I'm not taking any chances.
You're just what the start for.
Like something's about to happen.
It's a shame that you got to teach the children. Everything's corrupt, everything's fucked up, everything's about to fuck me shit out of luck. It's a world of confusion. Brainwash media and puppet politician keep you out of position, out of commission, buy medicine or food. That's not a decision. The 99% is mad and trying to vent.
All my people, all my people, all my people should not be woken. I'm the walking dead, but I'm just a talking head, a zombie floating. My honesty's brutal, but it's honestly futile if I don't utilize what I do, though, for good at least once in a while. So I wanna make sure somewhere in a chicken scratch top scribble and doodle enough rhymes to maybe try to help get some people through tough times. See if I get away with it now that I ain't as big as I was, but I'm morphing into an immortal coming through the portal. You're stuck in a time warp from 2004, though, and I don't know what the fuck that you rhyme for. You're pointless as Rapunzel with fucking cornrows. You like normal, fuck being normal. Summa, you assuming I'm a human. What I gotta do to get it through to you? I'm superhuman, innovative, and I made a rubber so that anything you say is sick of shaking off of me and it'll glue to you and devastating more than ever demonstrating how to give a motherfucking audience a feeling like it's levitating, never fading. And I know the haters are forever waiting for the day that they can say I fell off to be celebrating, cause I know the way to get them motivated. I make elevating music, you make elevator music. Oh, he's too mainstream. Well, that's what they do when they get jealous, they confuse it. It's not hip-hop, it's pop, cause I found a hella way to fuse it. But in my head there's something I can feel tugging and struggling. Angels fight with devils and here's what they want from me.
Let me interrupt you. Justin Bieber has been arrested on a number of charges.
But fuck it, I'm beginning to feel I'm decoding.
Questions about the National Security Agency's massive spy center under construction in the desert of Utah. Once finished, it'll be 5 times the size of the U.S. Capitol building.
I'm beginning to feel like
we have reached the tipping point here.
I'm beginning to feel like
we have reached the tipping point here.
Ew, when I speak in tongues, but when I speak in tongues, but I'm beginning to feel omnipotent, omnipotent, omnipotent.